Good evening, brothers, sisters, and gender norm resistors. It's time again for some more Pirates of the Geek Vortex with me, your host, and the rest of the crew, or at least who's here right now.
I could not do it.
I want to do it with erotica, but it has to be on Patreon.
Okay.
Oh, we were just talking about current projects that we're working on.
Okay.
I was mentioning that I am currently recording myself reading a book for long-form videos that I plan on posting to my channel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. Now see, once gamers show, well, no, okay, I think I can handle this. I think I can get this. All right. So,
Unlike Rasclin, when I get comfortable and lean out of frame, I'll move my laptop.
All right. I need to set everything up because it's a little bit different of an orientation than normal.
Yeah.
So, all right, we need this stretched over here. So, how has everybody been?
It's been a month. Why don't you go first, Nightkind?
How everybody's been?
Well, how have you been?
I've been. It's just been a cheat. Hopefully.
Anybody else just been staring at the wall and forgetting what the hell they were doing?
I wish I could do that. There's going to be a time when I'm actually with you guys on a podcast where I'm not going to have any dogs and I'm going to be in a good mood. Well, I'm in a good mood. It's just I'm going to be relaxed and no dogs.
You're not going to be relaxed.
Why not?
Because you're going to have no dogs and you're not going to know what the fuck to do.
This is true.
You'll be like, I could do anything.
So, Caden, how have you been?
Let me answer that question with another question. Is it just me? Or has anybody else been, like, suddenly having brain malfunctions in the middle of tasks?
That's
like, for today, I went to grab a trash bag to put it in the trash can. And before I fully processed what I was doing, I realized I had taken out a dishwasher tablet and ripped it open to put it in a dishwasher with a tablet already in it, because earlier this morning I had thought to put a tablet in the dishwasher. And then I went to go make tea. So I put my sugar in the cup so that it dissolves when I pour my hot water in it. And then I went to go grab a tea bag, and before I realized what I was doing, I'm grabbing the sugar again.
I feel that. I
But, like, apparently my brain's just resetting to, like, the previous 15 minutes.
I feel that. Yes. I feel that on a level.
Now we need to come in here.
And how have you been, Mon Capitan?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
I have been that's pretty much as I can do. Yeah, it's been all right. It's been an interesting week. Yeah, it's just been an interesting week.
I love how we've fallen back into our habit of just trailing off ominously.
Well, I'm also kind of trying to get my camera, my alpha mask set up so that when I put my camera on, it'll be showing. And it'll show appropriately.
Fair. I started to try to learn Blender again the other night, and then I was like, you know what? Nah.
All right, there we go. I think I've got it now.
That's also something I'm going to have to do when I start compiling that video I was just talking about. Is I got to learn DaVinci.
Oh, DaVinci's fun.
Yeah, well, because I used Adobe for the longest time, but the version I had was old and therefore pirated. But when I started installing it, it started overwriting the startup directory for my laptops, and that caused them to corrupt. So I had to consistently reinstall Windows and lose all the shit on my desktop, and I got tired of that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So I've moved into Luna and DaVinci Resolve, but I'm still learning them.
What's the other baby boy? What's the other Howdy. Howdy.
Oh.
And then, of course, we have, 4 nights ago, I woke up and had the drive, and I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. When I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to start making YouTube shorts so that I can, announce my plans and ask people what they want to see and do all this. And I had this great core principle that I was going to ask people about and, introduce. And then I actually went back to sleep, woke up, completely forgot what I was going to do.
Oh, I hate that.
So I'm wondering if should I start the shit show, or should I wait until the Canadian who requested this shit show gets here?
I think we can wait till Gamers gets here.
I think that's a good idea.
There we go. Now I've got it set up. Now when Gamers shows up, it'll probably jank around a little bit, but I have this extra fourth window that's opened up for no damn reason. So I can close that and it should balance out. In theory.
Well, how many hats do you have?
Well, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 right here.
Jesus,
Do
boy,
you
you could
rotate
rival me
them?
for hats.
Do
You know what?
rotate
You know
them
what?
every day?
I know what I'm gonna do.
Well, see, that's part of what I do for my videos and stuff. When I'm doing a game or something that has a certain style, I try and find a hat that I have that fits it.
Okay.
I'm gonna rival you real quick. Let me go see if I can find one of mine.
Don't stare at me like that. Don't stare.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Hey, you're supposed to play with me. Pay attention to me.
I know, the poor thing. He just pouts because there's so many dogs here. I'm gonna get your beans. Oh, crap. You gotta lay down, dude. You gotta lay down.
Okay, there we go. Now I can turn that off.
Can you
There.
lay down?
That's better. So yeah, overall, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking, for the audience, we're going to be talking about politics and all the bullshit that's happened in the past month. It has been 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1 month.
God damn. It does not.
Should I raise my light? I think I need to raise my light.
So
I'm
I
just
couldn't find the one hat that I wanted to, but I did find 3. It's good enough for me.
You are a little bit off now. What the heck?
I love it. There you go.
Oh, we're doing top hats, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you prefer the bowler?
Well, now, wait a second. Hang on a moment. Which one, brown or black?
Black.
Well, no, you got to do the brown. I've got the black.
Always black.
I have a fedora in the closet. But I think this one might be the appropriate hat for tonight.
See that I don't have. I don't have a whole lot of baseball caps or anything. Or trucker
Oh no,
caps.
this is full on pink trucker cap.
But yeah, I've also got the black fedora or the Indiana Jones fedora.
There we go. And yes, I do have a trilby as well. But we don't get into trilbies.
I had one for a while, but I'm not sure where I wound up putting it. I'm not terribly upset by that because it's like I was not, trilbies aren't really my style.
Yeah, well, that and the connotations we have now.
So Knight, kind of have to ask, did you ever look up Granny Weatherwax?
Yes, I did, and I didn't know whether to cry or be grateful. Yeah, I did.
Oh, what was that? What was that?
I found a pattern of hat, and I'm going to make it just for you.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, Granny Weatherwax is just one of those. She's very smart. She's very on point. She just isn't very nice.
And she looks very old. Granny. You said Granny, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
But see, that's the thing is with Granny Weatherwax, she's been called Granny for, even when she was young. So she kind of has that almost grandmotherly, like, yes, I know what's wrong. Yes, I know how to make it better. You're not going to like it, but...
Okay. Yeah, I had to go find a pattern for that hat, and I even have the EVA foam to do it. So just for you. Just for you.
Oh, I can't find the post now, but it was a fun one. It made me think of you when I saw it. It was someone was asking you. Someone's asking, what if we gender flipped Gandalf? Like, changed nothing about him, just made him a woman. And then someone was getting on about how she would get along great with Granny Oog. And then they threw a third one in it, and I can't remember the third one's name.
Og. Granny Og.
Okay,
no,
you know what?
Oog?
It's two O's, so I naturally would say Oog.
Okay, I'm not sure who they're referring to there then.
I don't know. But yeah, they're basically like, you know what? We're going to switch Gandalf to a woman and then throw him on Discworld. And I was like, yeah, that might work, actually.
I mean, yeah, then you really do just have Granny Weatherwax. You have two of them. Which is not good, because neither one of them would they wouldn't be able to stand each other.
Yeah, that was the crux of the post. It was like, wait, who could a female Gandalf stand on Discworld?
So yeah, just before we get into the deep stuff, let's just some of the fun little things. Like apparently Elon has fathered yet another child.
So I saw. That makes 13, yes?
13. Is it 13 or is it 15? I don't remember.
I can't keep
no
track.
idea.
Yeah.
When does he have time to have SCX?
That's the thing. Like, at least 90% of them, if not all of them, have been through IVF.
Okay.
So he does not actually have sex.
He's too busy. And who would want to have sex? Who would want to have sex with him anyway?
Gold digger! Okay, so I'm laughing my ass off right now because I just got a Pinterest violation notice.
Really?
And the pin that they reinstated is fucking hilarious. I'm gonna send it to the Pirates chat so you guys can like get the full hilarity of it. They just told me they reinstated this one, because they removed it for sexual content.
Okay.
The entire pin is about how someone is complaining because they got their Patreon suspended for having an erotic statue on their Patreon.
Really? Okay.
I'm like, the entire point of the pin was missed by your moderation team, and they removed it because it has an erotic statue on it. Okay.
Yep, sounds about right.
It's not even an erotic statue. It's a fountain in Italy. It just happens to have the pumps in the breasts.
So the statue of David is not cool. What?
Yeah, there have been social media blogs shut down because they have David.
Yeah, TikTok shut me down because I showed pictures of Adam and Eve in Renaissance paintings.
Man, this goes back to what I was saying to someone earlier. I was talking to a friend. I was saying, it's actually bullshit the way that social media and websites have started censoring for ad companies. Because A, the ads are worse than anything I'm saying. I mean, when I'm looking at YouTube and I'm just like watching movie reviews or like silly little videos, and then suddenly I get 12, and I'm not exaggerating, 12 ads throughout that entire video, all about, hey, make your dick bigger.
Yeah.
But I can't say something like Nazi? Excuse me?
Yeah.
I was like, no, if you're gonna start censoring shit like Nazi or racism, murder, suicide, any of that shit, you're not censoring for triggers anymore. You're censoring for the sake of censoring, which means that we can't have an open discussion and tackle these issues because nobody can even say what they're actually talking about.
Yeah.
And they do it under the guise of free speech.
Yeah.
Well, no. The companies are doing it. They flat out say they do it for the safety of others, but also for their ad partners.
Yeah.
Are you talking like social media platforms?
Yeah, like TikTok and Pinterest and all that.
Yeah.
They just censor for the sake of censoring. And TikTok is like, here you can, this platform is free speech. No, it's not. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't stream, you can't put these words together, you can't say these words, etc.
Yeah, the content, them saying, oh well, we're censoring it for the advertisers, is their way of basically making sure that nobody posts a pro-Nazi post that then gets ads put on next to it.
Okay, my YouTube and my Discord are officially trying to fight over screen space.
And yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the problem of, oh, well, we don't, it's the problem that Twitter had, where it was, oh, hey, so we have people saying this stuff that are pro this, pro that. Same thing with YouTube. Oh, yeah. It was, oh, well, we have a video that's pro Al-Qaeda, pro Taliban, and all this stuff, and then you have a Coke ad, mid-roll ad, and it's like, we don't really want to be, and there's gamers.
Oh, no, Gas, it goes even worse than that.
There we go.
It's not even, you can say whatever you want as long as you're paying. It's the people who are getting monetized from the platform. So I'm making you money, but I can't say what I'm actually feeling. And then it's the advertisers who get to say what's offensive.
Well, yeah, because they get to say, hey, I don't want my advertisement being placed on a Proud Boy video, on a pro Proud Boy video. I don't want to be associated with that. But they take it way too far when they say, oh, well, anything that mentions this at all is just automatically automatically banned. It's like that's bullshit. And hello, gamers.
Your audio is shit.
Is he saying something?
Oh no, you are loud and raw as hell, and I can still hear an echo.
Oh, wow.
Huh. Okay.
All right, there we go.
Well, I don't... Is there anything you can do on your end?
No, because it's you're the only one that it's coming through. So I'm thinking it's your. Now, from what I've seen, from what I looked it up a few days ago. And it sounds like it's a issue of your mic sensitivity, because for some reason it's a PS5 specific problem. It's from what I could gather, it sounds like if you inch your mic sensitivity in your Discord app down a little bit, it won't pick up. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know if the setup for their headset is just, it's different for some reason. Oh God, why?
That's my favorite color.
What just happened to me?
That is a good question. That is what I'm trying to figure out. Here, let's put this card up here.
Please do. Here, I'll even read.
Now everything's jumbled around again. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's better.
Also, Julian is asking, are you planning to do a playthrough of Shadows of Doubt?
Shadows of Doubt? I'm not sure. I don't think I'm not familiar with that game.
Welcome back.
Okay, so I plugged my mic up to my PC. Is that better?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
much better.
Oh yes.
Okay. So I didn't my internet just went down on my PS5. I didn't actually just storm off and leave or anything.
I figured you were like, I figured you disconnected to try and figure out what was going on. And
No,
stuff.
I was actually going through the settings when it disconnected, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna plug it up to my my computer. Fuck it. I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's just the way that it's set up,
Right.
or if their sensitivity is automatically set really high.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
It
that's generally what the issue is from what I could see, and I'm just like, that's.
Yeah, no worries. Shit happens. Got it fixed now. That's the important thing. What were you guys talking about? I'm assuming it was about YouTube?
Oh, no, general censorship.
Yeah, we were talking about social media and YouTube and how the advertisers are censoring everything.
Yeah. It's really annoying. And you have to be really careful with what you stream nowadays. Especially if there's any music or anything in it. God damn.
Yeah, I've said it a few times. People were asking us. They'd ask, like, aren't me and Olav worried about what we say on this channel and on mine? I was like, no, because we're still such small channels. No one's really caring what we're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you're a small channel, they don't give a shit. As soon as you make it big, then they're watching you like a fucking hawk.
Yep.
That's kind of true. It's a bit more when you're in the middle ground. For example, Joe Rogan can say whatever the fuck he wants. Somebody is going to pay him to have his podcast exclusively live on their channel on their platform. It's the middle tier where it's like, hey, you're not big enough to really get that to really have that power and just say, hey, whatever you want to fucking say.
I feel like with the bots that run YouTube as well, though, you still stand a chance, even being a no-namer per se. because they can still go in and be like, oh, that's copyright. You can't say that. That's, you know what the bots are like on these things.
Yeah. Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, they're crazy over on Facebook. Fuck, you say anything that's political, you're fucking banned for a week.
Which is actually hilarious because we still have the stuff like the infamous what did they call it, Elsa Gate, where YouTube
Yeah.
Kids, which is supposed to be moderated like 4 times as strict as YouTube itself, people were getting all sorts of shit over because they only put like 2 minutes worth of a cartoon or like the most Disney-esque looking shit they could over whatever video of gore or sexuality they wanted, and it got onto YouTube Kids because nobody fucking looked at the rest of the video.
No, I remember what that was. That wasn't so much overlaying it. It was like they had somebody dressed in an Elsa costume doing all kinds of like adult situation stuff, and it's like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Super.
It was disturbing.
I didn't even know about that. That's weird.
Well, I mean, what happens?
Yeah. But yeah, things are interesting here in Canada. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I've been seeing some stuff on like, on Twitter and stuff of, hey, booing the national anthem and stuff.
That's trivial compared to what I'm talking about.
Oh no, like burning
The national anthem is nothing.
Yeah, aren't
But
they
yeah, that
burning
is stupid.
American flags?
Not everybody. I mean, we're not like just massive cult of evil people burning American flags. I mean, some people are for sure. A lot of businesses have taken what Trudeau said to heart, which is to get rid of all American products from your store shelves and just have Canadian. But there are a lot of stores still that are saying that no. Like, unless it becomes law, no. I still buy American. I don't give a fuck. Like, tariffs are gonna affect both of us. It's not gonna just affect. That's what Trump doesn't understand, is that tariffs are not one way. It's going to affect your economy as well. It's going to affect your shit as well.
It's going to affect the country that puts the tariffs on more, because it's very basic business. If it's going to cost, if a product costs you $100 to bring in, you're going to want to sell it for $150 because you're going to have to make a profit. If all of a sudden, importing it into the country costs you $125, well, you don't want to lose your profit margin, so you're going to start charging $175. And everybody down the line is going to pass what little, they're going to try and keep as much of their profit margin as they can, and they're going to just pass the cost along. So if everybody tries to pad out their profit margin as much as they can, all of a sudden, it's not just costing you 25% more, it's costing you 50% more because everybody's adding a little bit more.
Yep. And Trump is saying he's not going to get rid of the tariffs on Canada unless we become the 51st state and agree to become the 51st state. It's like, you're such a fucking idiot.
Happen. Yeah, like who?
He's even when we won the hockey game last night, Trump tweeted, "Congratulations, Canada! I look forward to a couple of months from now when you're the 51st state." I'm like, what? You're still going on about that even at the hockey game?
Oh yeah, never. That's his MO. Never admit defeat. You always won. You will always won. You are always going to win. That's just that's how you have to promote yourself.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, personally, myself, I don't care. I mean, the general consensus is Canadians are really against it. I don't care. If it happens, it happens. If I end up becoming American, what the fuck ever. I don't care.
I think you should, because
I was supposed to say the nice Freudian slip with Americanadian there.
For example, you just at the beginning of the year, you slipped and fell, busted your knee, right? How much did you have to pay for medical care?
I already know about that. I already know the medical care is going to go through the roof. I already know that.
Yeah, that's.
I know there is going to be changes. I already know that. I know it's not. I know it's not just as simple as becoming an American. I know we have to take on their laws and everything. I understand all of that.
Yeah, it's not
But at the
gonna
same
be good
time,
for you.
at the same time, I'm looking at it as more of a well, our costs are going to go down. Like our costs on taxes and on groceries and all that shit, because we're already paying out the ass on that shit. I mean, you guys pay as an example. Like, say you see a game on a store, a digital game, $15 for you. It's like 25 for me, plus tax on top of that. So we're paying a lot more for everything, and it's really getting annoying. Like, I'll have friends be like, "Oh yeah, look at this game. It's so cheap. You should get it. It's on sale." I'll be like, "Oh shit, how much is it?" $10. I go on the store. It's like 25 for me. I'm like, "Yep, nope, that's not $10."
See, that's where you get. That's where you need
But,
to get. You need to get a good VPN.
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah, get a good.
I don't know if
VPN.
they allow VPNs on PlayStation though. I feel like there would be some law against that or some shit.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of laws to try and prevent that, but the thing is, it's like, you can make a law. You gotta enforce. You have to actually sit down and bother to enforce the law. And
But
most
Hold on,
countries
hold
are
on,
like,
hold on.
nah, we're that's more of a hassle than anything.
Gas,
Yeah.
I think you are severely underestimating the size of Canada.
Canada is not small. It's not a couple of igloos, I promise.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
That's
No,
just where the
Gas
homeless
was
are
asking,
not.
wouldn't Canada be like 4 to 5 states? I'm like, if we slice up Canada right, we could make an entire 50 states out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it is the full width of the United States. It's not a small little thing.
Hell, they even have their own version of Alaska if we're counting the Newfoundland.
Now, if they do it based on population, well, that gets a bit trickier.
The other thing I find is that a lot of your media censors a lot of shit that happens elsewhere in the world.
Oh yeah.
And nowhere clear was that when 9/11 happened and a whole bunch of your planes were redirected to Newfoundland, and they were grounded in Gander, and a whole bunch of Canadian families in Gander, Newfoundlanders, I guess, opened their doors and opened their homes to Americans and fed them, clothed them, and housed them for like a good week or two, and before they were sent back to America. None of your stations covered that. Not even George. Who was the president then?
Bush.
Was it Bush? Yeah, it was Bush.
It was
Not
W.
even Bush. Not even Bush recognized that any of that happened. The
Well-
only way Americans found out about it was through YouTube, and through a documentary that came out like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Which country
it's-
was it? Yeah. They also didn't cover the fact that Kenya sent cows to the United States.
No, because they don't care. Anything that happens anywhere else in the world is trivial. They don't care about any of that.
I mean, that's not just media. That's general U.S. attitudes.
That's U.S. attitude.
Mhm.
That is not Canada attitude. I'll tell you that, because 90% of our news is about the U.S. and then like 5% of it is about Canada. Granted, not much happens in Canada, but I mean, still, 90% of our news is like, oh, this is what's happening in the U.S. or this is what's happening in the war. You know, the war that's going on and stuff like.
Yeah,
But it's
in
not.
Ukraine.
It's not. Yeah, the Ukraine war, and there's so little that is covered about Canada. It's like you turn on the news every night in Canada, and all we hear about is Trump. Like, that's all we hear about. And I found it funny because I won't name names, but there's this one very, very, very famous voiceover artist who I'm friends with, and was friends with, I should say. And he does voiceovers for video games and has been doing voiceovers for video games since the 90s. He got mad at me because I started talking about Trump, and I said, no offense, but I have a right to talk about him now, given that what he's doing to Canada. And then his response to me, and keep in mind, this guy is not a Trump supporter. He hates Trump. He said to me, no, you're still out of line. You're not allowed to say anything about about President Trump because he's not your president. You have a prime minister. And I'm like, so do you know what he's doing to Canada right now? He's like, that's not important. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? If that's not important, you're not important. And I just blocked him.
Yeah. Like, that's the type of
you, buddy.
Yeah, that's the type of person you just like. No, okay, fuck
yeah,
all this shit.
No, I'm done with that.
I found out that an ex is a Trump supporter. Like, oh, honey. And I want to know how. How did he become a Trump supporter? I want to know the background. Because when he and I were living together, it was so, like, not Trump. Everything was just like, like more freedom of speech and more of us. And we didn't really, I want to say not follow the rules, but we just kind of like didn't care about a lot of shit. And now he's a Trump supporter, and all of a sudden he has to care about, how is he going to get his income when he's doing mining over in Winnemucca? What if they happen to shut that down like they do everything else? And a lot of Trumpers, they're not going to like what's going to happen. They probably don't like what's happening now.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of there's a pretty healthy chunk of Trump supporters that are like, wait, why? But we were supposed to own the libs, not like lose our shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of his cuts to various, all of his federal, don't spend any federal money unless it's approved by Elon. Well, that's starting to hit farmers. Yeah. In the wintertime, where it's like, hey, they survive on, the subsidies. And it's like, their subsidies are cut off now. It's money that's not allowed to be sent. So...
Well, they did that to the DEI. They did that to Social Security. They did that to a lot of, they cut a lot of federal spending. And there's so many people that are like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? And you're like, that's what you get. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So many people that are like on TikTok or YouTube, and they're just like taking off their MAGA hats, and they're like, I am so sorry. This is, I'm sorry that I voted for this. And they're just sad. They're sad that this is happening.
People tried to tell them. People tried to point this out to them, but they're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, nah, come to find out, hey, they knew exactly what they were talking about.
And when he declared himself, he actually put an executive order stating that there's going to be no more terms. He is it. He's going to be it. He's going to be president forever. And he also called himself King.
Yeah, the long live the king bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go ahead and put that in a live stream chat so people know what we're talking about. I started an entire folder just for this conversation, by the way.
How many tabs did you have open?
I had at least 17. What did I say? 15, 17?
I think last count I heard was 15.
Yeah, so I have at least 15 tabs of various news outlets right now.
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't have 15 tabs open, but I'll save them and read them later, and I'm like, just stop it. Just stop. Close the computer, go outside,
stop
pick up
doing
dog
scrolling.
Right.
Touch grass. No, I mean, I have stuff from whitehouse.gov. I have stuff from Canadian news outlets. I have stuff from ABC, NBC, Politico, I have stuff from Independent, stuff from Blue Sky, Wikipedia.
Excuse me. I do want to point out that Canadians don't hate American people. It's your politics that we're angry at. When they're burning the flag, it's not like saying "fuck you" everybody who lives in America.
Yeah.
It's not. We still consider you guys like a family, and I think I speak for everybody in Canada when I say that, because like nobody in Canada that I've seen has had any hostility towards the American people. It was funny though, the other night at the hockey game when Canada ended up winning and they started playing the national anthem. If you pay attention, you'll see like hundreds of MAGA hats just storm off the out of the arena.
Not surprising.
It was kind of funny. It's
They're
like,
kinda
well,
sore
there go the
losers.
Reds.
Babies. Why are they being babies about that? It's a fucking hockey game. Seriously.
Because it was supposed to be a symbol of the U.S. being better.
So Trump made it a symbol. Trump started it first. He wanted to make it a symbol of how America is going to kick Canada's ass, and he was like, well, here's the proof right here. We're going to kick your ass in a hockey game. And then when we won, Trudeau posted to Trump. He said, just like in our hockey game, we're going to kick your ass. And then he said, Canada always, or something like that.
Well, okay, now it's a slap fight.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's the Three Stooges. Well, the Two Stooges.
Yeah.
At least until a third one.
It is the Three Stooges because Elon is there. So,
There we go. Three Stooges. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah, Three Stooges.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, okay, going back to something we were talking about earlier with Elon Musk and the fact that, you know, like the vast majority, if not all of his kids were inseminated via IVF. Rumor has it that's because he tried to have a penis implant put in and it failed miserably. And his penis does not work anymore.
He's still a dick. So
Yeah.
his
But yeah,
implant kinda
that's
worked.
why he had to. That's why he has to have IVF. His kids have to be done via IVF. It's like because he
Okay,
can't
so
get
I
it to
get
work
that.
properly.
But how does he explain his lack of intelligence then?
Oh, he doesn't.
What
He doesn't think
defect
he
was
has.
that?
He doesn't think he lacks intelligence.
No.
If you don't acknowledge something, you don't have to explain it.
Yeah. Which is why he's perfect for Trump's lackey.
Oh yeah. I love the people that are like, oh, you know, why would, you know, when everybody's getting upset about, you know, Musk and his cabal of teenagers getting access to Social Security and everything, they're like, oh, he's the richest man in the world. Why would he want your money? It's like, because you don't get to be the richest man in the world if you aren't a greedy ass fuckface. And also, it's the 7 19-year-olds that he has that also have access to all of the Social Security information. One of which was actually fired from a job for leaking proprietary information to a rival company. It's like, this is, you know, they have a history of this shit. It's like, it's not just Musk. It's all of the people that are working for him. But, you know, again, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to think about that.
What the fuck was that chainsaw thing about?
So allegedly the chainsaw was a gift from Argentina and it was to represent his cutting of government spending.
That's what I thought, but I was like, is it something deeper? Am I supposed to understand something deeper? And so, okay.
No, it's I mean, realistically, it was a bit more about dumb fucking tech bros bonding together, I think. Because, you know, Elon is a big fan of all kinds of meme coins, and Argentina's president is currently involved in a, I guess you would call it a scandal of he created this Argentina crypto coin that within 24 hours hit its peak and then just like flatlined. Just like it dropped and went nowhere.
I didn't read anything about that. I just understood that he was into the Bitcoin with Mr. Musk. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, the Argentine president isn't so much into Bitcoin, he created his own it was supposed to be a national coin, a national cryptocurrency. And yeah, it was a pump and dump scheme, basically. Like, you know, 90% of the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, the kid that invented or came up with that Bitcoin thing, didn't he go to jail?
One of the people that was heavily involved in it did, yes. Oh God, what was his name? Bankman-Fried?
But I like how Mr. I refuse to call him, I just absolutely refuse to call him president. So how did Trump come about saying, well, I'm going to get filthy rich off of doing this Bitcoin thing? When, well, we all know everything he does is a scam. But how did he come up with that?
Oh, I'm sure somebody basically came up to him and said, hey, you know, you could do this, and he doesn't really come up with I don't think he comes up with any ideas himself. It's all just like, oh, hey, so, you know, if you do this, you could make a lot of money, and he just sends his lackeys to basically to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way he comes up with anything himself.
No, he's like Musk. You know, I'm just going to invest in this, and you know, I'm going to call it my idea, and everybody's like, it's not your fucking idea. So yeah, I understand that Mr. Trump doesn't have any of his own ideas.
Yeah, and I respect you for not calling him president.
I refuse. Absolutely refuse.
Absolutely, I agree. He doesn't have the intelligence of a president. And I don't understand how people are so invested in thinking that, oh, he's gonna fix your economy and everything. Dude, didn't he run like a whole bunch of businesses into bankruptcy? And people are like, oh yes, no, he's perfect for fixing our economy in the US. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Okay, see, you're forgetting one thing, which is that people only hear what they want to hear.
Oh, absolutely.
They absolutely don't care if he actually does fix anything. Just so long as he says he'll fix it.
Yep.
Beijing Biden. Well, that's a new one.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the. I think the problem with the biggest problem with Trump is how the media presents things. They make it way too easy for him to correct them because they don't really get the facts of the matter quite right. So, for example, you were mentioning, you know, well, Trump's businesses have gone bankrupt. Yes, his main business has had 7 bankruptcies. But the news always reported it as Trump has had 7 bankruptcies. And he personally has never gone bankrupt. So it's very easy for him to say, no, you can look at my records. I have never declared bankruptcy like you're saying that I have. Therefore, they are incorrect in what they're saying. Therefore, they're all liars. And it's bullshit semantics. But it puts a win in his column.
Yeah, so basically he's just weaseling his way out of it.
Yeah.
Through a loophole. Yeah.
And
sounds about right.
Like a main investor in all of this stuff, and that's why he has his name all over everything.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much the main investor, it's he licensed his name. They have to pay him to use the Trump name. That's where he gets most of his money.
I'm doing it wrong. I'm going to go market myself and put my name all over everything, and then they can pay me. That's how I get my money.
There you go. Yeah. We don't need to work anymore. Let's
just put our name on everything.
Put our name on everything. Yeah. Sounds like a great idea, actually.
Hey, my dog right now is
insisting on some lap time.
Come on. Yes, so I am not paying attention to my dogs.
Here's the other problem we have. Is that no matter how we're looking at this, the problem is that everything right now is happening is so fucking cartoonish and outlandish that it's hard for you to actually just look at it and believe that it's happening. Like, you can stare directly at it and wonder what the fuck is going on, and it's easy to just okay, no, that's got to be a joke. And also, a lot of the shit that Trump says, yes, may be unfortunately worded and poorly timed, but the problem is that people take that and run with it. And of course, as the rumor mill spins, it gets worse and worse and bigger and more and more out of control, which also means that his supporters now have ammunition to say, okay, well, he never said that. You're just lying about it. And technically they're correct, because he never said it. He said something else which got misconstrued.
Yeah.
Like this, for instance. This is a real bill that is currently being presented to the House or to Congress. But the way it's worded, you look at that and you tell me that that does not seem like some Looney Tunes bullshit.
Let's see.
In fact, here, for those of you not in the Discord, I'll read it out loud. This is in the House of Representatives right now. H.R. 1161. Introduced in the House February 10th, 2025. The Red, White, and Blue Land Act of 2025. This bill will authorize the President to enter into negotiations with the government of Denmark to purchase or otherwise acquire Greenland, and will also rename Greenland as Red, White, and Blue Land.
Yeah.
That is in a real bill that is currently in the House of Representatives right now. Whether it was made as a joke or not, the way it's worded, you can look at that and be like, nah, that's just some cartoon bullshit. That's not real.
That's probably why other countries are laughing at us. We are the laughing stock of the world right now. Cooper, no. Because of all this insane shit that is happening, people can't believe this is happening because of what this person is doing in the White House.
And the problem is, it's not just him. That's the really big problem. Like, for example, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? They introduced a bill. Somebody wrote up and introduced a bill to basically they worded it just right so that Trump would be able to run for a third term, but no other president could.
Right.
because they worded it in such a fashion that if a president hasn't served 2 consecutive terms, they can run for a third.
They can?
That's what the bill says. That's what they're trying to push through, which means Obama would not be able to run because he had 2 consecutive terms.
Yeah.
It's like there is no mask anymore. It's like, no, they like, even Musk tried to be like, oh, hey, so, you know, how many dictators do you know that downsize the government? It's like, downsized or consolidated, because that's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to downsize the government. You're trying to consolidate it into only people who will do whatever Trump says.
And that's why he's starting to push that the law's no longer everything that he says is the law. Nobody else can state that everything is a law. Only what he says is the law. He and Musk. And I'm like, really, dude? Are you fucking kidding me? And he's really pushing that. And that's what he said to the governor of pick a state and pick a city.
Let's go with the recent one, the one just today in Maine. The governor of Maine. Trump called her out and asked her, are you going to follow the laws? And she said, I follow the federal and state laws as they are right now. He said, well, you better, we are the law. You better do what we say.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Or we're gonna cut off federal fund, or we're gonna cut off all federal aid to your state. And it's like, thank God she had the cojones to stand up to him and say, okay, I'll see you in court.
See you in court. And he was like, fine, I'll see you in court. This is going to be easy. Ha, ha, ha.
Like, yeah, it's like...
Okay, wait a minute. The new wording of that amendment, and this is coming from the congressman's website itself, doesn't make sense. The first part is pretty clear. No person shall be elected to the office of president more than 3 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected to 2 consecutive terms.
Mm-hmm.
The part that gets murky, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Does that mean vice presidents?
Yes. That actually is already in the Constitution. That part is already in the Constitution. So for example, if Trump dies, 2 years and 1 day into his term and J.D. Vance takes over, J.D. Vance can run for 2 more consecutive terms. He can run 2 more times. He can be elected 2 more times. But if Trump dies, 1 year and 355 days into his term and J.D. Vance takes over, he can only be reelected president 1 time.
And then it's quotes like this. Again, like I said,
multiply everything I said by 2 because it's 4-year term.
Yeah, but it's quotes like this that get the word cult thrown around. And Congressman Ogles, quote, Trump's decisive leadership stands in stark contrast to the chaos, suffering, and economic declines Americans have endured over the past 4 years. He has proven himself to be the only figure in modern history capable of reversing our nation's decay and restoring America to greatness, and he must be given the time necessary to accomplish that goal.
Damn.
What? Wait, what?
Boot leather must taste real fucking good to him.
Yeah.
Like, he is doing so much boot licking, it's fucking ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. It's stuff like that that makes it so easy for people to pick it up and run with it and be like, oh my god, see, it's the cult, it's fascism, it's all this. And like, whether it is or not, it's the fact that you are going so hard and so to the paint with the accusations and screaming, that actually makes it easier for the other side to make you look crazy.
I mean, that I don't think I would use that as an example of, an example of the fascist claim. The example of the fascist claim would be more in line with the rules for the federal government that say that any new hire in the federal government has to be vetted by Elon Musk and his troop of merry idiots.
Well, yeah, no. I'm just saying, it's
that's what they need to be focusing on.
But
too many outlets veer off and say, oh, well, look at this person, look at that person, rather than focusing on the shit that's actually, Trump and Musk are actually fucking doing.
Okay, here's what I'm actually saying, though. It's the magnitude of the response. Like, sure, it's outrageous, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. And statements like that are amazingly bad looking, and just amazingly horrible in general. But it's escalation, right? Like, think back when you and I had to do damage control all the time in those meetings that we were in. Like, the more one side starts screaming and pushing and saying that the other side is horrible and an idiot and whatever, the easier it is for that side to point at the other one and go, well, yeah, but look at how much you're overreacting. You're acting like a child. You're being too emotional about this. If you wanted to talk about this like an adult, we could come to terms. It's making it easier for them to make the other side look bad. There has to be a measured response.
I'm not so sure I'm not so sure I would agree with that. I think at least in my opinion, it is the style in which they are responding. And by that, I mean, they're saying, well, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this person, look at this person. They're going at they're doing it with a shotgun style thing. They're like, hey, we're going to point out all this insane shit that they're saying. And it's like, no, focus on facts. Focus on what Trump and Musk are doing. Focus on the fact that Musk and his team have the final say in anybody that gets hired, anybody that's going to get hired for the federal government.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean, though, is that, we can lay out facts, we can do all that. But if we keep doing it in such a hot-headed and in gung-ho fashion, no matter how many facts we present to anyone, they're just going to be like, okay, well, but you're just throwing this at me and expecting me to just accept it. Like, if we come at them so aggressive, they're not going to listen in the first place, because that's the first thing humans do when someone comes off at them like yelling and screaming, is they just shut down.
But that's okay, but there's a point to be made here that the people that the people that are responding with, oh, well, see, they're crazy, you're never going to change their mind. You're never going to change their mind.
They're being gaslit. And that's all that they're going to cry is, oh my God, they're gaslighting us. They're gaslighting us because we don't believe on what they're saying. And they're trying to put their story onto us. And then that's where the cult issue comes into play, is that all of those people are now banding together because this is the truth. This is what we're saying. And, oh my God, we're being gaslit because here's the truth. They don't believe it.
Yeah, they're not going to believe it. They're not going to believe it until it bites them in the ass. And that's well, I hate to say it, but that's democracy.
Well, no, I mean, I was talking to someone earlier, and they pointed out too, it's also, you see this type of behavior a lot in abusive relationships. Even if the abuse continues and that person gets out of it, if they're so conditioned to it and so used to it, no matter how bad it gets and no matter how many facts you throw at them, they're gonna go back because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome.
And then, like I said, it doesn't help that there is, I don't want to use the word insidious, but I'm going to anyways. There's this insidious undercurrent happening. Because, okay, take it from the guy who literally named himself Silver Tongue. He knows just the right things to say to get the people he wants to agree with him and to join his cause. But then, even when things blow up, like I said earlier, when things happen or, you know, things are turned around or it's shown he just flat out lied, he knows well enough, probably because of his business deals, to have made sure that the situation has become so hyperbolic and so out of hand that he can go back to that original issue that they're pointing out and going, well, I never said that, or I never did this. I did this, and I said this, and technically, it's completely true. So it still makes them look good.
Well, again, you're talking about trying to it sounds like you're trying to talking about trying to deprogram his cult. You're not going to. They're not going to listen to facts. That you are never going to turn them. What we need to do is make sure that anybody who isn't completely brainwashed realizes the truth of the matter. Don't try and turn a cultist against their cult leader. It's not going to work.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, though, we all have to actually look at each other. We have to start banding together with each other, because, you know, even when we're going, oh, hey, this is bad, there's still fights on our side. I mean, and again, they're going to use that against us. Like, no matter where you stand on a political spectrum, I don't care, and this goes past politics. If we're talking about a situation like this, like you said, cultists and whatever, and the conflict is between that cult or that group and then everybody else, the problem is if everybody else can't find a common ground, they're going to be weaker, because now you're talking about scattered masses against one solidified force. And that's never going to work out.
And yeah, I mean, I agree. But there comes a point where those are the people that you need to say, hey, we need to focus on the facts. Don't, you know, those are the people that you need to present the facts to. Those are the people that you need to present the argument to. The problem is that so many people try and turn it against the MAGA cultists. They try and turn it against the people that you know, the farmers that, even though all of their subsidies, the things that keep their farm in their hands are disappearing, they still worship Trump. That's what those are the people that so many news outlets and so many commentators try and say, hey, look, you know, you need to realize that this is all going batshit bad. And it's like, but they're not gonna, you know, those people, those brainwashed people are not gonna listen. They're not.
No, it's there was a story that was going around that you know, the wife just got a job somewhere and he needed to stay, and they lost everything. They sold their house and they just lost everything because Trump was cutting all hiring. He put a hiring freeze. And so these people were devastated. They didn't know what to do, but we need to go back to Trump and we need him to help us. What the fuck? He just cut everything off from you and now you need to go back to him? Talk about bootlickers. Holy crap. You know, pull your big girl panties up and get your shit together.
Hang on a moment here. Caden just dropped dropped his camera, so.
Oh, I didn't just drop my cam. I actually just dropped out of the call like 2 minutes ago.
Okay, that didn't show.
That's because I immediately picked up my phone and switched over to Discord on there.
Ah, okay. All right, so
switch over again in a second. Just for right now, I'm gonna let the phone do its thing and just not worry
Well,
about.
it looks like Nikind's now the host, so
Well, no, it's this in the center is Caden's.
Yeah, I was about to say
Oh.
I've got a placeholder picture, and I'm in the center, so that means I'm the host now. So we do things.
okay. Perfect.
Yeah, no.
I don't see that. I don't get to see myself as the host. Hostess with the mostest.
All right, so if we take you,
And besides, we run this podcast like a ship. Remember, if I want to be the host, I have to get rid of the captain.
yeah, but see, that would also mean that you would have to, you'd have to come over, get my computer, get my login, get all that shit, which just, that ain't gonna happen. All
That
right.
doesn't
And
necessarily
that's
mean
not
what.
to mention his sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads.
Laser beams.
I think he
Well,
forgets
I'll just spread them
airlock
down.
care of a lot of problems.
What?
I said I think you're underestimating the fact that we are supposed to be in space. An airlock takes care of a lot of problems.
Okay, so while Olaf fixes shit here, so another thing I wanted to bring up was, I was watching a YouTube video about all of this, and I shared it in the group a couple of days ago. I don't know whoever watched it, but it's this guy. He's an American YouTuber who reacts to various different things. So he reacted to it was an American reacting to what's going on in Canada right now, and a lot of Canadians are actually selling. So there's a lot of Canadians who have properties in the U.S. and they're actually selling them because they don't want to even reside there. They don't even want they don't want anything to do. They're trying to find ways to limit money to the U.S. as much as possible. So when they're selling their property in the U.S., they're selling it through Canada, not through the U.S. But and a whole bunch of Canadians are also boycotting this one. This one that he was mentioning was this woman who literally was taking her kids to Disney World, and then once Trump brought the tariffs, she's like, nope, we're not going now. And the kid, I can just imagine those kids want to probably kill their mother. But aside from that, it's like, what? It's crazy. Like they're boycotting the U.S. to such an extreme degree, and I do get it. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like a stupid game, because it's like, just because Trump is doing stupid shit doesn't mean we have to do stupid shit. I don't know. It's just it just seems like this is not going to ever get resolved, because as soon as Trump fires tariffs at Canada, Trudeau is like, oh yeah, well, we're firing tariffs back, except we're making them higher. And it's just a game of back and forth, because Trump actually tweeted the one day, he said, well, if Canada tries to tariff us back, we'll just tariff them even more with even more money, or even more percentage. So it's back and forth.
Yeah.
It's cat and mouse.
Those kids were so devastated that they could not go to Disneyland because their parents were just boycotting it. And how do you explain that to a child?
Yeah, that's stupid.
It really is.
She also said, oh, you can blame the U.S. president for not going to Disney World, is what she told them. Like, what?
How do you explain? The kids are like, what?
Yeah.
They don't understand. They just don't understand. They were devastated because their parents decided to do this boycott.
Yeah.
All right. We'll throw them a Mickey Mouse themed party.
I mean, there is a certain point where it's like, especially with Trump, the only thing he understands is money.
I personally think this is going to get resolved at some point. I mean, I don't think this is going to go on forever. I think it's going to go on until he finds another target to bully. That's not Canada, because I'm sure there'll be somebody else down the road who's going to anger him some more.
Oh, that's the thing
No, that's true.
Like, he's already said, the EU has said, hey, if you're gonna treat us like shit, you're not gonna uphold the bargains and stuff, we're not gonna buy any U.S. food.
What shocked me is that there's a lot of Europeans who are taking Canada's side and are boycotting American products as well. And I thought that was really interesting because I didn't know about that. And I'm like, wow, like everybody seems to be involved in this and going against Trump, which is interesting.
Well,
and another thing too, when we won the hockey game, a lot of Canadians were waiting in the audience for the Americans to start booing our national anthem, and none of them did. They all sang the national anthem along with Canada, and we all took notice of that. And so to us, that was one of the coolest things ever.
I mean, the Europeans getting involved, Trump's already threatened to set tariffs on anybody and everybody, any and all European countries that don't do what he wants. And that's that's kind of the key point. So look at the situation in Ukraine. I mean, number one, Trump's blaming Ukraine for the war that when they got invaded. But how long before he says, look, Russia wants peace, Ukraine doesn't, we're not going to help Ukraine, so the other European countries start sending in troops? And how long before Trump's like, no, if you send any troops to Ukraine, we're going to put tariffs on your country?
Too late.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his attitude. Is he doesn't want to stop with the United States. He wants control of pretty much every country in the world, except for like Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, North Korea. The other ones that have dictators.
Now I got another question for you. Do you think that Russia is still pulling the strings in this as well, like they were last time, kind of?
I mean, I think Trump is. I mean, Trump is, after his meeting with Putin, he started parroting, or his call with Putin, he started parroting every single Russian propaganda piece. Like, he is legitimately just like, hey, Ukraine's to blame for the war. They did something that somehow caused Russia to send troops into their country.
I think that Putin pulled back when at the end of his, first 4 years, and this is when he, even went more bonkers, that Trump went more bonkers. And now that he's trying to be king of the world, Putin is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then he just kind of like pulled back because he didn't want to be part of that. It's not that he was like necessarily part of it, but he didn't want to listen to that. And so he's looking at Trump like Trump is even crazier. And so Putin was actually, what did I read? Like, he was taking somebody else's side. And, I'm afraid to misquote, and that's why I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to quote anything wrong. So I think Putin has pulled away from Trump.
I'm not so sure on that, because I know what you're talking about. There was there was one of the situations where it's like, where, God, I can't remember what it was either, but yeah, basically Trump was like, hey, we're not dealing with this shit, we're leaving you on your own, and Putin stepped up. It's like, no, we should still help them. I don't think Putin is pulling away from Trump and being like, dude, you're crazy. I think he's viewing Trump as a useful tool.
But Trump doesn't. So
if the U.S. pulls away from foreign intervention and helping other countries out, and Russia can step in and say, hey, we're going to help, how much easier is it for Putin to go in and say, hey, you know what? We helped you out a lot. We're just going to go ahead and build a few military bases in your country so that we can make sure that our help is still there, and they get their foot in the door. I mean, I think Putin wants the old USSR back. He wants all of that. He wants all of that territory that used to belong to the USSR. He wants it back.
Not unlike Trump wanting to own Greenland. What else does he want to buy? Red, white, and blue land. Panama. All these little other countries that he's trying to own. So, and he's wanting to put his golf courses. He's wanting to put his resort hotels, excuse me, in all of these places so he can own them because he's calling himself a king. So, okay, I can understand that Putin wants to come in and put military bases. So, yeah, he can have the USSR back. So,
what other country is going to step in if the U.S. pulls out?
Well, there was. Say that again. What
other country is going to step in to try and help some of the Eastern European countries out if the U.S. pulls all their support? Who's going to do it? Who has the money for it? Who has the money in the military and the infrastructure for it?
Well, China. China's been wanting to come in for a while now.
So, yeah, again, another dictator. So it's either President Xi or Putin that's going to wind up taking over and basically, hey, we're going to just kind of step in here. I don't think China is that interested in basically in taking over and controlling and gaining more land. Russia, like I said, Putin in particular, when he was in the KGB, it was the USSR. They had all this land. They owned like the vast majority of Eastern Europe. And he wants it back. China really doesn't have that, China, I don't think, is really that interested in getting into Europe.
Okay. No, I understand what you're saying. So we're back to having a slap fight between Trump and Putin because everybody's going to want everybody else's land.
It's not even, I don't think it's going to be a slap fight between Putin and Trump. I think it's going to be Putin tells Trump, hey, you know what? You're doing a great job. Yeah, pull back. Why are you spending all this money? He's telling Trump what he wants to hear. Why are you as a country spending so much money on the security for other countries? Don't do it anymore.
So if Putin's going to be telling Trump what to do, Trump's going to be like, yeah, I'll do it, and be the little doggy. Okay, I'll do it, and okay.
Yep. So
I'm still afraid for America. I'm still very afraid for America.
It's a shitty situation, but especially with Trump parroting all of Putin's talking points, I mean, it really does look like that's what's coming about.
Well, it's surprising how many people, and this could just be speculation on everybody else's part, because they were just like, we have nothing else to do, so I'm going to speculate on this, that they are all saying, be prepared for World War III. Okay, well, that's not going to happen. There's so many entities that's not going to be happening. But yet, I guess people want it. They're saying, okay, we want this to happen. There's going to be World War III, and you better start prepping, and etc. Because of the way that Trump is presenting the United States. We're all going to split. He's being really divisive, well, with his cult and with his non-cult. So everybody with the little red hats, yay, President. Oh, I almost said the P word. So I don't believe that there are so many people that are saying, well, Trump's going to take us to World War III. But the other countries are saying, this just might be a possibility. So there's a lot more people that are thinking about it because this is the way Trump is presenting himself and the United States of America.
Not just that, but he has actually tweeted himself be prepared for World War III, U.S. He has literally tweeted it himself on his Twitter account, or whatever the hell it is, X, whatever it's called now.
I still call it Twitter. Fuck it.
Yeah, I do too. The name X is so fucking stupid.
The amount of people that go, oh, I'm going to go to X. No, I'm going to go to Twitter. That name is never going to go away.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah. So I guess people are just picking up on that and running with it. And if they were smart, they have to realize, well, if Trump's going to declare himself king, then nobody can fight him on this. And there are Republicans.
The whole be prepared for World War III is part of the whole I am king thing. I don't think there's going to be a World War III. I just think Trump wants there to be a World War III.
Now looking at other countries outside the US, it's kind of understandable that they would be saying, hey, be prepared for World War III. That's where we're headed. Look at the first two World Wars. The U.S. wasn't in World War I. We didn't take a part in it. We didn't get involved in World War II until Pearl Harbor. In fact, when Pearl Harbor happened, we were in talks with Hitler to sign an accord saying that we would stay the hell out of it. Both World Wars, for the vast majority of the wars, the U.S. was not involved. We were sitting back and saying, this isn't our fight. This isn't our fight.
Okay, so Trump is saying there's going to be World War III. I am king, so I'm going to stop. He's going to stop World War III.
I'm saying the other countries are saying, watch out for World War III, because the U.S. is taking we're only looking out for our interests. If it doesn't involve us, we're not getting involved. So the biggest deterrent for somebody starting a massive war, if that's the U.S. and the U.S. is saying, we're not going to take part, we're staying the hell out of it, yeah, it opens up the door for another world war.
But I think that Trump is going to, he's going to stop the United States from being in a war. And so he's going to say this. He's going to say, well, we're just going to back off and we're just going to let all of that happen. And then he's going to take all of the credit for that because he saved the United States from going into World War III.
Yeah. It's the same as the first two.
It's the other situation where he when he was previous P word, when he was saying that he helped develop the cure for COVID and blah, blah. It's always the same thing. He's always trying to take credit for everything. I mean, it's always going to be the case with him, unfortunately. That's just what he likes to do.
His credit for stopping COVID was to inject bleach, which the media just ran with that.
I remember that. That's, yeah. And do you know that a couple of his followers actually believed it and injected bleach into themselves?
Did not.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there was some that I'm pretty sure injected bleach into themselves. I remember reading it.
That was not the actual quote.
What? Put bleach in?
It was
the actual context was, we know that the virus is killed by bleach and disinfectants, and we're looking into something like that to help kill it in humans.
Yeah.
He never once said inject Lysol into your veins.
Yeah.
Well, that was
it's a shame he didn't, because then a lot of his MAGA hats would have been washed out pretty damn fast.
I'm going to point something out. You just provided the perfect example of what I was just saying.
Yeah, well, it's
But
the
also,
same type thing I was saying too. It's like, yeah, you misquote him, and he gets to say you're a liar, and
exactly, and you're also. There's one thing I didn't know how to put it. I still don't know how to put it because I want to say bread and circuses, but it's not bread and circuses. Is the fact that look at what we're all talking about and focusing on. Shit like the World War III, him wanting to annex Canada and Mexico and the Panama Canal, all of this shit, wanting to buy Greenland. That's all really big, really flashy shit, guaranteed to get you to start looking over this way. But there's one thing, and Olav can attest to this, there's one thing I've always lived by anytime I look at a leadership position or anytime I'm in a leadership position. It's, while they're watching the right hand, you're doing something with your left, but then while you're doing something with your left, you're making sure you're doing something with your foot, too.
Yeah, so it's basically the magician's trick of sleight of hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You make
No, I
people
understood
look
that.
at this huge shit, and then you use it to undermine what they're saying, which solidifies power for you. But then when you solidify that power, you use that power to influence other people, and those people are going to create huge spectacles. Then you use that spectacle to make yourself look better.
Yeah. Which I think is what he's doing with all of this. I think that this is all this is.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just,
I mean, it goes the same way. When you were asking, did Putin pull back? Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But at the same time, if Putin stays very quiet right now and lets Trump and the world, create this huge brouhaha, and then he comes out and says, okay, well, things have gotten a little out of hand. So Russia, we're going to sit here, we're going to be quiet, we're going to stick to ourselves, we're going to focus on making ourselves better, and at least we don't do things like Trump and America and all of that. Well, that makes him look great, makes him look level-headed.
Well, that, and especially with everything involving Ukraine, if Putin was to say it, if Putin was to come out and publicly on camera say all this shit that Trump is saying right now, he'd, people would question him. People would question and be like, well, wait, no, see, you're the invading force, so of course you're gonna say you did everything right. But if the President of the United States says that, well, I mean, what's his agenda? What's his agenda if it's,
Well, yeah, it's what he's saying. We're throwing around words like dictator. No, I mean, dictator comes in a lot of forms and flavors and a lot of, however you want to say it, a lot of words. But when we think of dictators, we always have this very solid image, a stereotype. And of course, people aren't going to play that up. So yeah, I mean, but that's the latest argument I've seen about the war in Ukraine, is that their leader is a dictator. He's a tyrant. He's making Ukraine a wasteland. So yes, Putin invaded, but it was an invasion of mercy.
Yeah, problem is every time Trump makes an accusation against somebody, 9 times out of 10 at least, it is an admission of what he is doing. It has always been that way. So, yeah, I kind of, him being all, oh, well, Zelensky's a dictator. It's like, dude, you've praised dictators. You've literally said you want the military parade like they have in China. You want, underlings that are, going to react to you like President Xi of China has in his, in his country.
Yeah.
Well, that's damn near everything that he does. Riding around the racetrack, pick something and it has to come back to him. And so, yeah, pick something that he's doing, so back to making him look better.
Well, it's not just that. Okay, so what one article pointed out as far as the tariffs go, especially the tariffs on Canada, was that if anybody actually read The Art of the Deal, Trump's book, which he released how many years ago? He says it right there in one of the chapters that his way of negotiating in the boardroom and in business is to make outlandish remarks and outlandish spectacles. And then he makes demands and makes demands and makes demands, and he doesn't back down until he gets an agreement. And it's always because he's going to make more demands, more demands, more demands, make them more and more and more unreasonable. So that way when someone goes, okay, well, we're willing to talk if you take these off the table, he takes just enough off the table to get back to what he originally wanted, which by now looks completely agreeable, and then they agree to it. So
There
how
are
much
lots
of this,
that up.
yeah, how much of this, how much of everything that's going on is actually what he wants, and how much of it is just him waiting until things become just unreasonable enough that he can scale it way back and get what he wanted in the first place?
Well, how many of us kind of realize that this is just turning into a massive shit show? But if they bring it back to just a circus, then yeah, exactly what he's doing. But they're understanding that they can deal with that. Do they know that this is actually happening, or is it back to that sleight of hand? This is what we're doing, and blah blah blah. So, are the people really understanding that?
Some of them are, but like I said earlier, when we have giant groups like this, especially when, one's banded together like GOP has, and it's become a giant force, like a wall and a block, whatever the hell you want to call it. Hell, let's go with block. We were just talking about the USSR. But once they're a giant block and they're one solidified force, and the other is still confused and panicking and angry and screaming and yelling, well, then it's really hard to say, oh, hey, something's going on and we're being distracted. Because no matter what spectrum I'm on, whether people see me as liberal or leftist or centrist or whatever, like I said, I always have personally identified as an anarchist. But no matter what I identify as, if I try to come up to you on the street and say, hey, this is what's going on and we need to band together to fight it, your reaction is most likely going to be, well, but what can we do? We don't hold any of the cards in this. We don't have any power.
There's going to be a lot of pushback because exactly what you said, we have no power. So, what are we going to do? Well, okay, let's go and, be our little cult and do over this, but because we have nothing to hold, we've got nothing to do. So, okay, what pushback? How much pushback is there going to be? There's people that are going to understand it, and then there's going to be, well, we don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, and that, it's something I wasn't going to bring up earlier because I didn't feel like I had the right words for it, is also, that's what they want.
I can't see.
Gas says having no power is an illusion. And that's true, but what it is that the more they make it seem that they have this irrefutable, unstoppable wave, and then make their other side look like they're scrambling and panicking because, well, if they were really in the right, if they really had a point and what they were saying was really the truth, they wouldn't be panicking. Well, that causes doubt. And the more people doubt, and the more powerless they feel, and the more we start eating at each other, that's the key right there. We're going to start fighting one another.
Not the division.
Divide and conquer.
The division of the people. Yeah, divide and conquer.
And like people have been saying, this isn't about money. This isn't about race. It isn't about politics. It's about class. And I've said it, I don't know how many times, like, since at least the end of the Bush era. This has become the proletariat and the bourgeoisie all over again. The only difference is we don't have guillotines.
Yet.
Right, yet.
Oh, come on. We're American. We're not going to do something with a French machine. We're going to do it with guns, because that's American.
America. So, space, the final frontier.
Not anymore. Not if
I
Elon
forgot
gets
what I was
his
gonna
way.
Oh, it was about the rich are always going to get richer and the poor, and that's what they've been doing for a while now. And are people actually wanting to see this? Are they ready to see this? Well, we've been poor for a while, so we might as well be poor because so and so.
I mean, again, it goes back to what I was saying. They're giving you that illusion of powerlessness because if the 1% and the mega rich have all the power and can ignore laws and buy their way out, I mean, right now, let's be real. I'm going to be completely open with you. I'm unemployed. I'm living with my parents. I'm in a basement right now. So if I were to look at this as an individual and look at Musk and Trump and Andrew Tate and all of them who have all this power and can do whatever they want because they have money, well, then who the fuck am I? What can I do? I can't do shit because I don't have any money. I don't have a support group. I don't have anything. I don't have any platform.
Well, they've been wanting this for years now. And ta-da, here we are, and everybody seems it seems that they are now starting to understand. And, well, you've been working 70 hours a week and you can't get ahead. And I think that now people are actually starting to understand that you're going to be poor. I've been homeless and I felt like I was never going to get out of that. And here I am watching all these people with their money and watching the government come down and squash me and squash me and squash me because interest rates are high and tariffs and all this shit. So I feel like they're finally realizing that the government is fucking them over so they can have more money and more money. I mean, what does Elon do with $34 billion? Am I saying that right?
I'm not going to bother looking it up right now.
Okay. I don't know. But yeah, there's
money
more
than he needs to live.
Yeah. More money than anybody needs ever.
What is he going to do with that? Buy himself more intravenous, what is that? IFV?
Yeah. Intravenous
fertilization.
I don't know. Because I'm so pretty. I don't even know what that is. Could you explain that? So yeah, maybe people...
That was another thing. Sorry. Don't mean to cut across you. That was another thing that struck me as weird in this entire thing. Why the sudden push that we need more people? Why are we pushing we need to birth more?
They need more. They need the income. I mean, they're cutting Social Security.
They need the workers.
That's not going to give them any more income. That's the problem with the pro-birth.
Okay,
children.
Allow me to explain. If you're looking for a job, and you're one of two people getting the job, and you have the better qualifications. The next person up is demanding $50 an hour. You're demanding $40 an hour. Who is the business going to choose? They're going to choose you because you're asking for less. Now,
well, yeah.
You add in, instead of 2 people, you have 100 people. And the vast majority of them are currently deep in debt and need a job ASAP, or they're going to lose everything. They're going to take that job for $10 an hour, even though the work is worth a hell of a lot more.
I'm conceding this point, but there's a point that you are forgetting. What we just discussed is the children at working age. Yeah. Until they hit working age, children are a drain on the economy because they don't produce anything. They don't put any work in. They are actually more of an expense. So if you want to fix the economy and cut spending, we need less of a population because we're spending all of it growing these new workers who by the time they get to working age are going to be replaced by the others. We're already going to have a brand new generation of babies.
Yeah. But
That's
you have
not
to
how that
understand,
works.
they don't look at it that way. You have to have the child. They want to make sure that if you get pregnant, you have to have the child.
Yeah, there's another one.
And once the child is born, they don't give a fuck. It's your problem. As a matter of fact, that makes it better for them because now you have more expenses, which means you're going to be even more desperate for a job no matter what the pay is. So all around, it's a benefit for them.
Well, I guess that's why they're, well, okay, why are they cutting all of all this funding for everybody? And, well, you can't have this, you can't do that. All this medical funding, all the Medicare, they're cutting all the Medicare. So why would they start cutting all of this but still have people, I can't see what you're writing. But still, the 30, 40 years, they don't want to have babies right now. They're just like, let me live my life. We don't want babies. So if we do get a baby and you can't afford to have a baby, well, we just cut all of the funding for that. So where does that fall into play?
I mean, what really made me think that this isn't what it seems is among his annexations of comments. Remember when he wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America?
It's Gulf of America Day. You only get to call it one day.
Did you read that whole thing?
But when he was in his plane and he was just signing all kinds of executive orders, and then they had the reporters that actually passed their little litmus test to get in, he was just saying that this is Gulf of America Day.
I read the actual order.
The executive order did change the name.
But here's the important part. It's not just about changing the name of the Gulf.
What, is there the power play? Of course.
His specific region defines the Gulf as the area northernly bordered by Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, etc., and southerly bordered by the north of South America, bottom of Mexico, and Cuba. Well, if that's the Gulf of America, that means that Mexico would be counted as part of the U.S. But if he annexes Mexico, then his entire point of get rid of the Mexicans, build the wall, get them out of the country, get the illegals out, they're not fucking part of us, that crumbles. Yeah. Because now Mexico is a U.S. territory. They're a state. So all the immigrants that you just put back in Mexico are now back in our country, and they're legal, so where do they go then? And all those drugs that you're pushing out, the fentanyl, the heroin, the cocaine, everything else that you want because it's coming in from Mexico, you want it out? Well, you just took over Mexico. Where's it going?
Yeah,
you take over Canada, Canada becomes the 51st state, and you're worried about the fentanyl coming from them? It's still there. It's still in the country.
I love his attempt of, we've got so much fentanyl coming in from Canada. More fentanyl goes from the U.S. to Canada each year than comes the other way. We're sending the fentanyl to Canada.
Yeah. According to Canadian sources, less than 1% of the fentanyl in the United States comes from Canada.
I heard that too. I'm just reverting to what I saw on the news, but again, this could be sensationalism that nobody wanted him to really name the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, so maybe that's why they were saying that, well, it was just Gulf of America Day.
No, he signed an executive order that in the United States it is called the Gulf of America.
Yeah. He gave them 90 days to change it in the official database.
I did hear that, but okay, maybe it is the reporters that are doing this. This is what I heard. This is what
we're talking two different things. So he signed the order saying that it's no longer Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico. It's now Gulf of America.
America. Yeah.
And then a few days later on Air Force One, he made the Gulf of America Day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that wasn't talking about two different things because I heard it too, but he did change it to Gulf of America.
Yeah, he changed it to Gulf of America, but that was one executive order. The second executive order was a few days later when he made a holiday saying that it's Gulf of America Day.
Okay. Okay.
Just letting you guys know I'm still here. I'm just listening. I don't want you to think that I've left or anything like that. I'm still very much here.
So,
I'm
gonna say that this is a horrible thing, just the way my brain works. But I was watching that, and I was listening to all his comments, and he was expressing his deep admiration for President McKinley and how great a man McKinley was, and nobody ever tried to assassinate McKinley. I would like to point everyone who doesn't follow the theater to a wonderful Broadway show with Neil Patrick Harris in the cast called Assassin, the Musical, and its #1 hit single, Cholgoth, which is about the assassination of President McKinley.
Don't know that. I don't know.
Of course you don't. They don't teach it. Because it wasn't a successful assassination. He got 2 shots off, missed. The other one barely grazed McKinley, and then he was killed. So they don't even bother with it.
So Trump is saying that McKinley. Okay, space.
So McKinley was known for pushing the expansion of the United States, imposing tariffs, making sure that the America came first. Sounding familiar yet?
Would that turn around and make Trump look better? Because he's saying that he...
No. He's saying he has an admiration for McKinley.
Okay.
He's admiring McKinley. He wants to bring back McKinley's values.
Okay. Making him look better. A lot of this confuses me. I am gobsmacked.
But that's the point. That's what we were saying earlier. If I just keep throwing all of this sensational shit at you, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other,
right.
How much rational thought can you pull out right now?
On him, absolutely nothing. I have no rational thought on what he is doing. Zero.
Exactly. Because it doesn't seem like there is any, is there?
There is no sense in what he's doing. So he can't throw anything at me with, here's what I'm doing. Well, here's another thing that I'm doing. So you need to look at this hand. None of that is, I don't see that it's working. I really don't.
But it is. That's the point.
How?
Because everything you're looking at, all the sensational shit, the annexations, the tariffs, the racism, everything that's the right hand. What's the left hand doing? The left hand is Musk and the companies and Bezos and the billionaires. All right, well, that's what the left hand's doing. So what's the foot doing?
Kicking everybody's ass because cult. But I don't believe in anything that he or Musk or anything is doing. I have zero respect. I don't. And okay,
for example, here's a good example and a recent example. So both Musk and Trump have started trying to make plans for all the money that Musk and his morons are going to save. They're all the money that they save. They said, well, we're going to send out $5,000 checks to every U.S. citizen. We're going to say we're going to use 20% of what we save, and that's going to go to the U.S. citizens, and then we're going to take 20% and we're going to pay off we're going to start paying off the national debt with that 20%. Now, the big question that nobody's answered from the White House or any of that is, where's the other 60% going? Where's the other 60% of your savings? Where is that going? Where's that money going? I think she had to go for a minute.
Probably. Oh, by the way, I did find something else that is they tried to use it as the apropos, like this proves that it's a cult. But again, it's another one of those people took it and they ran it.
Okay.
Let me pull up the picture, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, again, this is a real thing. I'm putting in live stream chat. This is a real thing. It actually exists. That is in Mar-a-Lago. Now, for those of you who can't see what it is, that is a goat statue with a golden tail, golden horns, golden hooves, entirely made out of Trump-faced $100 bills, signed with love or I love you, Trump.
I did see that.
Now, a lot of people have taken that and going, well, that is them literally worshipping a golden idol. That goes against everything that they claim to be as Christians. It's in the Bible. You shouldn't worship idols, blah, 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 blah. Well, I checked into it. That statue is part of a series that is actually for charity. It's called Project GOAT, standing for Global Offensive Against Trafficking. They have several goat statues, so that just happens to be Trump's goat statue. But people took it and they ran with it. Yeah. They didn't bother looking at what it actually was. They just ran with it and said, oh, this is an idol, people are worshiping it. So how does that make them look?
Yeah.
So these people that are looking at it, they're all Christian.
No. What they're saying is that Trump ran on a heavily Christian platform. Okay. And then again, there are people... Okay, another fun statement I read about was that apparently somewhere around the Capitol... I live near the Capitol. I had heard nothing about this, but apparently somewhere on the Capitol during Inauguration Day, there were 18 consecutive lightning strikes. Like in various places. I haven't heard about this. But somebody pointed out, oh, there were 18 lightning strikes when Trump was elected. That is proof that God wants him in there. That's a hell of a statement to make on one hand.
Yeah.
And my reaction was, okay, wait a minute. I read my Bible. I was raised Southern Baptist. Usually, when God sent lightning, that was a bad thing. Yeah. That was him telling you, hey, you fucked up. But it's the fact that, people say, oh, hey, God wants him in. And the fact that he said, it is our God-given destiny. It's God-ordained. Thank God he helped me. So he's pushing Christianity and God a lot. So because people heard that, and then they saw the golden statue with the goat statue with the golden horns and everything, it does say in the Bible, do not worship golden idols. So people are taking that and they're like, oh, well, he claims to be a Christian, but he's got a golden idol. That's not the point.
No, I wouldn't point to that and say that, but I would point to the literal golden statue that his cultists made of him and were worshiping.
Oh yeah, that one you can point to. I'm saying don't just point at one and be like, oh, look, that's proof. Mudslinging, isn't it great?
I also heard that he wants to cover like everything inside the White House. He wants to make gold. Well, all right. Yeah, it could be sensationalism again. But
he already hung his mugshot on the wall.
I mean, That's what he does with all of his stuff. Like,
Turns everything gold.
no, just plates it and just covers it in gold.
Jeez.
Like when there was the Trump Airlines. So Trump Airlines was this big, it was these big Airbuses that were massively unpopular. He bought up all of them that he could and plated the toilets in gold because it just wasn't fancy enough. People didn't understand. It wasn't fancy enough for people to really get that they should want this and stuff. So we're going, we're going to make it even more ostentatious so that people know that this is something that they should want. They should want to fly on these planes because, hey, it's got a gold toilet.
He's also buying another jet to. Why is he buying another jet? He's buying another jet to have it better and create his own line to make it. What am I trying to say? He's buying his own jet because the other ones weren't good enough. Am I saying that right? MC Hammer.
I think I understand what you're saying. Now there already was a contract, I believe, for Boeing to make a new airplane for Air Force One.
Okay, yeah.
But he's got Elon Musk working with Boeing to get it done faster. Because, Elon Musk is a great aviation engineer, and Boeing works massively well under pressure.
Well, see, this is how much I don't care. I don't care. So not that it's difficult for me to have this conversation. It's just, where do I pull my information from? Because I don't give a shit.
I'm all for it. I'm all for Musk helping design it and then, putting a rush on Boeing so that they work faster. Because that just means it's more likely that the first time Trump's on it, it's going to fucking blow up.
I was just going to say that. As many planes that we have falling out of the sky, his would fall out of the sky.
And all the planes that we have falling out of the sky, all the problems Boeing has had over the past, 2 years? With their planes just not passing safety inspections.
Yeah.
But somehow getting to pass anyway. It's like, yeah. And then, Elon Musk, who, style over substance.
Sidetrack, but hilarious fact. Apparently, Trump asked the Guggenheim if he could borrow Van Gogh's Landscape with Snow. They declined, but they did offer him another golden toilet. And then, of course, he declined that, so now apparently they're installing it in Winston Churchill's birthplace.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like Churchill would have taken it. Because he would have just been like, oh, hell yeah.
What art thing did Trump put himself president of?
Oh, the Kennedy Center.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts.
And he fired everybody and then put himself the president of that.
He is the chairman, so he gets to decide what productions go through.
He knows nothing about art, unless it's
that
a
means
gold.
He also gets to decide the Kennedy Center honors.
You know what? See, this is just out of hand. This is just fucking way out of fucking hand. And I'm just not. It's because I don't care. It's because I do not understand what is happening. Because I don't care.
It's because I think it's not so much because you don't care. It's more. This is so. His actions are so fucking bizarre that you can't understand any reason why a sane person would do this.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see that.
I know people who are the exact same way. They just, their general opinion is that Trump is a jerk because he's just, well, why else would he do this? And they don't really conceive of any reason. And it's like, for example, any project, him saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna revamp, we're gonna remake the Gaza Strip, we're gonna remake Gaza. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be like the Riviera of the Mideast." I think
everybody.
a massive part of that is he owes a lot of fucking money to land developers. He has worked with a lot of different land developers, and he hasn't paid a goddamn one of them.
Well, just like he hasn't paid for the places that held any of his rallies. He's never paid anybody that.
But how do you pay off a land developer if you don't have the money to actually pay your bill?
Handies in the parking lot.
Nope. You get a massive project that has governmental funding, and then you hire them for it.
Elon Musk has all the funding, but Elon Musk can also hire the 19-year-olds.
Well, if Trump gets his way and the U.S. takes over Gaza and starts building resorts and starts building all these towers and stuff, they're gonna have to hire land developers.
So let's
and
talk about.
And who do you think's gonna hire them? You think the Congress is gonna have a say in it? No, it's going to be Trump's going to hire whoever he wants, and those are going to be the people he owes money to. And he's going to say, guys, it's a government job. Pad the hell out of it.
But the theory is that Trump isn't the P word. Musk is. And that's a huge theory that's going around, is because Elon Musk is putting a worm in Trump's ear. Well, let's do this, let's do that. And so there's where Trump is the puppet.
I don't know if it's so much Trump is that Elon is the one in charge and whispering in Trump's ear. I think Elon has plans, and I mean, number one, let's face facts. Elon paid Trump all he needed gave him as much money as he needed in order to win the election.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Elon isn't really that worried about a lot of things. What he is worried about is going to prison. So he's firing people from the U.S. aid because they were investigating why his Starlink stuff that was supposed to provide internet for Ukraine suddenly stopped working after U.S. aid had paid him for them. They were not given out for free. He did not do that out of the kindness of his heart. He did that because he was paid by the U.S. aid. And now he has them shut down.
Okay, so what about Musk wanting the ISS coming back to Earth? Because he had a little spat with one of the astronauts. So he's like, fine, I'm just going to call and have you guys out of space. So he can put SpaceX up there, more Starlink. Well, that doesn't.
So he can replace it with SpaceX. He can replace it with the SpaceX product.
So, okay, what power does he have if he's not part of this government? He was never hired by the government. So what power does he have? None. I mean, he's probably just blowing this out of his ass to bring the ISS back to Earth. Why is he even saying that?
Well, he apparently Trump doesn't want to deal with a lot of the bureaucratic stuff. So he's handing it over to Musk.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was saying, is that...
Well, no, because Musk isn't president. He's just dealing with the stuff that Trump doesn't want to deal with.
Trump doesn't want to deal with shit, except, build Gaza to an even better and beautiful place, like no other president has ever done. Nobody's ever seen that before. So, I mean, there's
and rake in money by going golfing in his resorts.
And running around the racetrack, spending all this money, going to the Super Bowl, spending all this money.
Those are different. Those are different than him going to his resorts. Because the money that's spent when he went to the Super Bowl was on security. It was on local police, overtime for the local police departments, and things like that. When he goes to Mar-a-Lago, the Secret Service have to rent out bungalows from Mar-a-Lago.
He's overpricing them for. He's always overpricing.
They cannot, whether he's overpricing it or not doesn't matter. The U.S. government can't defraud a U.S. business. So they have to pay fair value for those bungalows. Which means every time that Trump goes to Mar-a-Lago, the Secret Service have to pay his company to rent out the bungalows to keep him safe.
Well, so he was still paying Secret Service to keep him safe at the racetrack.
Yes, but he didn't own the racetrack. So the money that was spent to get the Secret Service in there didn't go into his pocket. It does when they go to Mar-a-Lago.
Okay.
It does when they go to any of his golf courses. Oh, you have to. Well, the president's in a golf cart. You have to rent 2 or 3 golf carts for all the Secret Service people. That money goes into his pocket. Those go directly into his business and into his pocket. That's why he wants to go to Mar-a-Lago so often. Because he makes money off of it. That was the big kerfuffle in his first term when Melania and Barron were still living in Trump Tower over in New York. The Secret Service had to protect them as well. Yeah. They were actually considering buying an entire floor of Trump Tower in order to be able to keep eyes on Melania. And it got out that, hey, Trump is gonna rake in a shit ton of money from this. And that was the point where Melania, I'm pretty sure, renegotiated her prenup with Trump and was like, okay, I'll come and live in the White House with you.
Because she didn't want that. She didn't want a whole floor rented out for her or made for her.
I don't think she cared. I don't think she cared whether the Secret Service rented out a floor or not.
Well, weren't you saying that Trump had a whole entire floor?
They were going, yes, the Secret Service was taking up a floor in Trump Tower, and they were considering basically signing a full 4-year lease with Trump's company to rent out that floor. Okay. Melania didn't give a shit whether the Secret Service whether the U.S. government spent money on Trump Tower or not. But once it came out to the public, that looked bad on Trump. So, hey, dear, you got to come and live in the White House. And I really do think that was, she took that opportunity to renegotiate her prenup with Trump by saying, hey, I'll come and live in the White House, but we're going to change some shit. Our previous arrangement for our marriage is going to change.
Is that when she would stop holding his hand and she would like pull her hand away?
That was about the same time. Yeah. When she was like, all of a sudden she did not look very happy to be there. She wouldn't hold his hand. She wouldn't kiss him on the lips.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about the same time.
It's funny that no one's mentioned Donald Trump Jr. or Barron or any of them.
Barron, when he, what was that? Barron was just like, when they did show him on camera, he seemed like ambivalent to the whole entire thing. And all they could talk about was how tall he was.
They said right in the inauguration, oh, look, there's Trump's son who pushed him for a social media campaign and gave him advice on what decisions he should make as a candidate and as president.
See, Trump isn't, he isn't the P word. He's got too many people putting worms in his ear. If Barron has to say that, if Musk is there saying that, then that's where I see that just Trump is just a figurehead.
Or he's making you think that.
I don't think Trump is that smart. No.
I'm not giving him credit. I'm just saying it's
there's that
entirely
possibility.
possible. Again,
Yeah.
he's just covering his ass.
Yeah.
Let
It's
people
possible.
say, oh, Musk is pulling the strings, Barron's pulling the strings, Putin's pulling the strings, Melania's pulling the strings.
Okay,
And that way, if anything horrible ever happens, well, now he's let the rumor machine do its job. And he could just go, oh, that wasn't my decision. I didn't think of that.
See, that's the problem, though. That's not going to save him. I didn't think of that. No, but you're president. You're in the office. So it's your responsibility. Whether it was your original idea or not doesn't matter.
And these immunity clauses. Let's not forget the immunity clauses.
Yeah, well. Immunity clauses are one thing, but yeah, I mean, here's something interesting. So speaking of those, apparently they only apply to Trump because Kash Patel has stated that he is going to investigate Biden for his entire term.
Well, because they weren't around for Biden.
Doesn't matter.
No. That's their reasoning. Is that because they weren't ratified until Trump got into office? They don't work.
Oh no, they were.
retroactively.
They were. The precedent had already been set. The Supreme Court had already set the precedent that a sitting president sitting president or an ex-president cannot be charged with a crime if it was in any way related to his office. That was set by the
president part.
Huh?
Saying I'm not going to speak on the ex-president part because I haven't seen anything about that part.
That was what saved Trump's ass. Because Trump was trying to say, hey, this is some of this stuff that you're trying to charge me with was connected with my job as president.
Yeah.
Therefore, I should have full immunity. And the Supreme Court sided with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I watched we had that whole episode after the inauguration. I watched the inauguration and I got fucking pissed as hell. Because we watched it on CNN and I was sitting there listening to the actual news anchors who were claiming to be completely impartial.
Yeah, you know that they're
sitting
not.
there praising and going, oh, it's so great that the president has immunity now and he's not shackled by the Supreme Court and he can do his job without interference. The whole point was for every branch to interfere with the other branches so that no one branch can go, oh, hey, this is law, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of wondering how long the people in Congress are going to go along with all of this shit and just be like and just rubber stamp it all, because it's like pretty soon it's going to get to the point where you don't have a job. You're going to be a waste. You are going to be labeled as governmental waste because hey, you're letting Trump just write the laws. You're letting Trump decide everything.
You're forgetting. They pointed out again that the Republicans basically control the government right now because they are the majority of every branch.
Yes, but if with Trump gathering power, Congress, if he's allowed to write whatever laws he wants and nobody argues and steps up and says, hey, you can't do that. That's our job. You don't control the purse. We do. And they just let Trump do it all. Before too long, how long before Elon Musk come knocking on their door and saying, why are we paying you so much? You don't do shit. Trump does it all.
That's what,
hey, but hold on. That's what
getting rid of all these branches.
That's what I'm saying. This is what you're forgetting. We went over this earlier. Yeah, that's what's eventually it will lead up to. But right now, the Republican Party is unified and they're being placated.
Yes, that's
if
why
you're
I
playing
said,
with us, if
that's
you're
why I
on
said
our
how
side,
long before they realize that they fucked up and they're
and
out
I'm
of a
saying,
job.
I don't think they will, because of the fact they are constantly being nudged. And hey, as long as you're on our side, nothing bad's going to happen to you.
No, you're missing my point. They don't have it. If Musk comes up to him and says, you are governmental waste, we're shutting down Congress, they can't ignore that shit. They are out of a job. They have no paycheck.
Well, yeah,
you can't
but that
ignore
doesn't mean
that.
That doesn't mean they're suddenly going to realize it, because they're still playing under that illusion.
They're going to
if I
realize
play
it.
ball,
They're going
they'll
to
never play it.
Caden, you can't not realize that you lost your job when somebody says, you're fired. Get the fuck out of our building.
But see, that's what
You
I'm saying.
can't ignore that.
You're asking how long until they realize that's going to happen. I'm saying I don't think they're ever going to see that's a possibility.
And that's why I'm saying they'll see it as a possibility when it happens.
Oh yeah, when it happens, they're going to have to confront it.
Yeah, that's kind of my whole point. That's what I said.
Yeah, I think we just got confused. That's all.
That's why I'm like, wait, how are they gonna? How do you ignore being fired? You
well, I
can't
mean, even then, we've got the possibility that they actually do go along with it. I must not have done my job right. He's right. I must have been superfluous.
I mean, that's again, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, hey, yep, I guess he's right. When I'm out of a job. My paycheck is gone. My, all of my benefits, even the stuff that was supposed to follow me after I left my job is gone. You can't ignore that.
No, but you can justify it to yourself. Again, that's standard abuse and victim behavior.
And you can justify it, maybe, but you're not going to justify. I don't think any Republican congressman is going to justify losing all of their benefits and shit, because that happens to other people. That doesn't happen to us.
Hold on, yes. Did you just say you think the Constitution has something to say about that when we've just been talking about how they want to ratify a bunch of amendments?
Yeah, he basically wants to get rid of the Constitution.
I mean, let's not forget another big hot button issue right now is that he wants the birthrights to be gone.
Yeah.
He wants to erase birthright nationalization.
I think that was taken back. I think they stepped back on that.
No, they have temporarily halted it. It's
Jesus.
Temporary.
For the love of the gods, I just don't.
Well, no, that's the thing. He signed it as an executive order. The only way to overturn an executive order is for a majority of the representatives and the states to find it illegal. So right now, they can't just say...
That's not true. A way to... that you can't overturn... you don't have to go through all that to overturn an executive order. You have to go through all of that to change the Constitution.
You
have to have 2/3 of Senate, 2/3 of House, and 3/4 of states ratifying it.
Yeah, but they still can't just overturn an executive order and be like, oh no, we're not going to do it. So right now, all they can do is just push it back and be like, well, we're not going to pass that right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to go into effect right now. We need more time to consider it.
Basically, I think they pulled it back. I think they said, we're not going to enforce it. We're not going to push it through right now, because it's more of they're being sued by several states that say this is unconstitutional. This is illegal. You can't do this. You do not have the right to do this. And again, it's one of those things where it's very you need to look at the details of what he actually says. Because it doesn't say he wants to erase birthright citizenship. He's saying that he's interpreting it as, because they're here illegally, they aren't they are not what's the term that they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They are technically they should be interpreted as an invading army. They are a military. They are an invading army. Therefore, our laws shouldn't apply to them, which just brings up a whole lot more problems.
Here's the fun fact. Go ahead.
He was talking about Native Americans. I mean, they're out there doing their rallies and everything against Trump because he was now calling Native Americans they have to leave the country. And everybody was pissed because they're Native Americans. Okay, they are not here illegally. So why is he turning this into, back to the birthright citizenship? They're the Native Americans. How can you deport them? There isn't any place.
Easy.
Well, other than
how did we take over their country?
I'm sorry?
You're asking how can we deport the people who are native to the country? Easy. How did we take their country?
By force. We set them on fire and we killed the women and children.
Yep. And that's how you keep it from. That's how you take it back. That's how you get rid of them. Might makes right in Trump's little mind. Might makes right. We have the bigger army. We have the more power.
Yep.
We have the right.
And going back to that, to the birthright naturalization, the specific way, what I was reading, the specific blurb that he wants to change is that if the mother is not here legally or is only here temporarily legally, say she's on a visa, or if the father is not a citizen of the United States, which means even if the mother is a citizen, if the father's not a citizen, then the baby is still not considered a citizen.
The baby was born in the United States.
But it's not a U.S. citizen.
But
he's
trying. What Trump is trying to say is that because the mother was not a U.S. citizen, the baby is not considered under the jurisdiction of the United States.
Then there was a young girl that was terrified that her parents were going to be deported and that she was going to be separated from her parents. She was so distraught, and the kids in her school were just totally bullying her. She was so distraught about this that she just took herself off the face of the planet.
Because that was the original blurb. That was what people were saying. It meant was that even if they were born here, they would retroactively have all their rights taken. So they would retroactively lose citizenship.
But this young girl didn't know that. All she was thinking was that her parents were going to be taken back and she was going to stay in.
Big point here as far as that news story. You have to understand that this is okay, so there was this news story, and then these kids bullied her. These are basically, think of it like the president says something, Trump says something, his MAGA idiots misinterpret it or take it to the extreme and start bullying somebody. That's what happened. It was a bunch of red hat kids that bullied her in school, saying, you're going to lose your parents, you're going to lose your parents.
That's
and
why
that's
she was so
what
terrified.
got to her. It wasn't anything that Trump did. This was kids being mean, shitty little brats.
Well, then how did they learn about this other than Trump saying, the ICE is going to come in and they're going to take away, all these illegal aliens, and that's what falls onto these kids' ears.
And they misinterpreted it. They took it 12 steps further than Trump did and said anybody who is, it's kind of like, okay, like the kid down in Florida that took the keys out of a Mexican guy's car because, you're Mexican, you're Hispanic, you have to be illegal.
Yeah.
That's red hat mentality.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that all these
That's
people
not
are
Trump.
hearing.
But that's not
Well,
Trump.
no. But, if Trump is going to be spouting all these words and that we're going to be taking these, illegal aliens, and then this falls on, and then it's like playing the game of telephone. You say something into somebody's ear, and then they're supposed to say it back. And so then it gets so muddled that these kids are hearing it, these people are hearing it. And then, well, this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to start picking on all of them because even if Trump said it or not,
as much as I hate Trump, and believe me, I hate Trump, you can't pin this on him. These are bratty, snot-nosed little shit kids being bratty, snot-nosed little shit kids.
And where did they get that information from?
Probably from their parents.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that Trump
So now Trump is responsible for everything that his followers tell their kids, and then their kids do to somebody else. That is putting too much power into his hands.
Well, he may or may not have said it, but it still came out. And now these kids are hearing it from their parents, from their aunt, from grandma, grandpa, and then all of a sudden, it gets so messed up that all these kids know this bullshit story.
So you look at the people that are telling their kids this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's coming from mom, it's coming from dad, it's coming from auntie and uncle.
Yeah,
and
but it has nothing to do with Trump.
He may or may not have said this, but maybe it's the news. Maybe they read a news story and then they are interpreting that as their own, and then they take it.
Here's the problem. Is you're involving the news, you're involving this, you're involving that. No, you have to boil it down to who told the kids this and who don't correct their kids when they are snot-nosed little brats. It's not the news that should be listening to what these kids are saying and say, don't say shit like that. Don't be an asshole.
They don't know any better. The parents don't know any better. If they are going to allow this to come down.
Okay. No, you can't say, well, the parents don't know it. The parents know better.
No, they don't, because if this is what they're thinking. If they're part of that mega cult, this is what they want to believe.
So now we have to police the news to make sure that they don't say anything that the parents misinterpret and then pass along to their kids.
The news, their job is for sensationalism. Sorry, my retainer. Sensationalism. That's what they do. That is their job.
Okay. Let's take a moment. Take a breath. I'm going to address a couple questions in the live stream chat. Jesus Christ. So to answer Julian, the 14th Amendment is the one that they're talking about ratifying. That's what we're talking about. Is that they want to... There are bills in place, an executive order in place that wants to change the wording, and there is a movement in the courts that wants to change the amendment to where it only applies if there are both legal citizens. So they want to ratify the 14th Amendment. And to answer Gas Giant, technically yes. If your mother was born in Germany and she was over here on a visa, or your dad was in... they don't really go into foreign. Like if your dad was over at a military base in Germany and you were conceived and born there, I don't know how they're going to interpret that, because technically you'd be a German citizen as far as I am aware. But if your mom was over here and you were born here, then yes, technically if your mom was only on a work visa, or she wasn't yet a citizen, or she was naturalized, then yeah, technically you could retroactively lose your citizenship.
But aren't military bases run by our government, and that is supposed to be our area?
Remember what I said was the wording was, if the father is not a citizen, they can lose their citizenship. If the mother is illegal, they can lose their citizenship. If the mother is only here temporarily on a visa, they can lose their citizenship. It doesn't
Okay,
matter if they were born on a military base. It doesn't matter if dad is a citizen and mom is on a visa. If mom is on a visa or mom is here illegally, they can lose citizenship.
Okay. I was just thinking that if it's a military base in another country, that is considered like U.S. property.
Yeah,
type of
that's considered U.S.
That's
kinda like
yeah,
an
that's why I
embassy.
said it gets very muddy as far as the other way around. Because yes, if it was on a military base, if they lived on base housing, technically that's U.S. territory, but then the same
But
wording
no,
applies.
actually, no. They're what they're trying to change specifically would actually mean that no, that child would not be a U.S. citizen because they're not subject to U.S. law.
And that's what I'm saying, is it gets muddy there because as far as I'm aware, even if you were born on a U.S. base, that is not considered... It's considered U.S. soil, but it is not considered a part of the U.S.
Yeah,
it's more like a U.S.-controlled territory.
Yeah, it's
So you're
U.S.
still a
controlled
citizen.
territory. So if something's illegal
Yeah.
in the U.S. but it's legal in Germany,
Yeah,
you
is-
wouldn't necessarily get
yeah,
you wouldn't get arrested
is-
for it.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is my understanding is that if you're born on the base, you are still a citizen of the country that the base is located in. So you would be, if you were born in Germany, you would be a German citizen subject to German law.
So I think I figured out a way to explain what I was meaning earlier. Okay, so let's say somebody listens to this podcast and says, "Wow, Trump's a really bad person. Somebody should do something about Trump." And they go out and hurt Trump, and they say, "Well, I found out how bad Trump was off of this podcast. Does that make us responsible for what that person did?"
Well, that falls under, I think this falls under when he may or may not have said this, people are hearing this, and then they're telling other people, and et cetera, et cetera.
But my thing is that whether he said it or not doesn't matter. You have to look, a person has to be responsible for their own actions, and a parent has to be responsible for the actions of their kids. That is
That's
how
not
things... Yes, it is.
That is not how...
That is
You're not in
absolutely
the-
how the world works.
I live across the street from a school, and, these kids are actually talking back. I had a bus drive by in the front of my house, and I had the dogs out, and they started antagonizing the dogs. Where did they get that from? Did they get that from their parents?
You're talking about actions versus responsibility.
Nobody has responsibility. I personally don't see it.
I'm sorry,
But I don't go out.
If you go out and slap somebody, are you responsible for your actions?
Well, yeah, because little
Okay,
Timmy is
there
gonna back
you
his
go.
mom.
That
But
is
his
that
mom
is
is
the
gonna see-
responsibility.
But his mom is going to tell little Timmy, well, you have to go back and fight him back. You have to be the one to throw a
And
punch.
that is why parents are responsible for the actions of their kids.
But
If you teach your kid, if somebody
Hold on, hold on.
punches you, pull out a gun and shoot them, you are responsible for that child's actions.
Parents don't care these days.
Okay, but
But that
okay.
doesn't whether the parents care or not, the parents are responsible for that child's actions.
Here's where the breakdown's happening. Okay? The original conundrum was these kids that bullied the other one. Where did they learn it? They probably learned it from their parents. Where did the parents learn it? They heard it on the news. The news is controlled by God knows how many different people paid for it. But what people are doing is they're cutting out those middle two steps. They're saying these kids that bullied this other kid is a direct action. It's a direct line to Trump, and Trump is responsible for these kids. That is not true. Trump is responsible for what Trump does and what Trump says. Then the media takes that. The media says something, and they are responsible for that. The parents hear it. Parents are responsible for how they interpret it, then they teach their children, and the children are responsible on how they act on it.
That's what I was saying. But, the parents, they hear, that's exactly what I was saying. But Olaf, I totally understand where you're coming from. Responsibility versus action. I totally understand that.
But yeah, that's my point. It's like you can sit there and say, well, Trump is responsible for Trump is not responsible for it. Because Trump did not say, go bully kids. Trump did not say U.S. citizens need to step in and apprehend and kidnap anybody they think is an illegal alien.
Well, it's the trickle-down effect.
No, you can't say that. You cannot say that. Because anything you said tonight could push somebody to attempt to harm Trump.
Well,
and then you're responsible because you put the idea in their head.
Then they're responsible for their actions.
Huh?
They are responsible for their actions. If they are going to twist what I said, then they don't understand.
And there's the point. Trump never said, hey, all U.S. citizens should start apprehending anybody they think to be here illegally. Trump never said you should go out and bully these people. Therefore, you cannot put the blame on Trump.
Oh, no, not at all. It's when, somebody hears it and, like I said, it's just mom hears it from somebody. Well, mom's going to be at the dinner table and then the kid hears it and they're just going to go off and, well, my mom said it because she heard it from somewhere.
Yeah,
but then everybody's going to put the blame on Trump because they don't know where to put the blame.
If you allow for that, then you are going to have this daisy chain of blame that nobody takes responsibility. That's the problem with saying that, oh, well, the kids heard it from their parents. Their parents heard it from the news. The news shouldn't have said that. It's like, no, the news didn't say to go out and bully kids. They didn't say to go out and take matters into your own hands.
Because it's interpreted differently. Everybody's going to hear something different. And then they go back and it's told different and different.
And that's why you have to, parents are responsible for the actions of their children. They are the ones that are, they have responsibility for that child. If that child damages somebody else's property, they don't sue the kid, they sue the parents. They don't sue the cartoon that said, hey, you should put a rock in a slingshot and shoot it off and who cares where it lands. They're going to sue the parent.
That falls into speculation. Parents can say anything, but then the kid is like, well, this is what my mom said. So that's speculation.
So, yeah.
They're just taking that into their own hands.
You realize this is just becoming the heavy metal debate. That's all this is the kids listen to a CD and then they go and they say curse words and smoke and drink and eventually go and stab a person. Oh, it's the fucking band's fault because they said the lyric. No, it's not.
Yeah.
They didn't fucking hold the kid's hand and say, oh, hey, here you go. Here's the heroin. Have it.
And
nope.
Just like the cool and collected Canadian I am, I'm staying out of the conflict.
Actually, I was about to pull you back in and get your opinion, but I was going to say, at worst, what I would say is that you can call Trump a catalyst for this.
Okay.
But you can't just be like, oh, this is his fault. Did it come from him? Maybe.
I'm
going to use YouTube's new favorite word. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, that's a word that needs to be used in order to keep from being sued for defamation.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is just keep that in mind. Every time we look at something like this, and we're like, oh, someone did this, and oh, look, they have a connection to MAGA, and oh, God, allegedly.
Yeah.
So, Gamer, how come you're staying quiet? What's your thought?
Oh, no, nothing. I'm just listening.
He's got no horse in this race right now.
Well, he was like...
I said what I had to say earlier. I said what I had to say earlier about how Canada is taking all of this shit.
Oh, hey, you know what? Here.
Smart gas giant.
Let me even things up. We've been talking about America and a lot of shit and how we cover things up. Let's talk about the Canadian genocides that happened and how they threw their natives off the land. How about that?
Well, I was gonna say we
That's
could
old
get
new. Yeah, well, I mean, we could get into that, but that's really old shit.
I was gonna say we could we could get our Canadians input on how many international war crimes had to be created, laws had to be created against war crimes because of Canada.
I was about to say, what is that Instagram reel I found was Canada. We don't commit war crimes, but there sure are a lot once we get out. What was it? If you were wondering why the Geneva Convention is so long, sorry.
And by the way, a lot of Americans have been asking, like, I thought that Trudeau was stepped down. Why is he still in office? So he did actually step down. We're just waiting for somebody to take his place.
Yeah, you guys need to have an
until
election.
that happens, yeah, we have to have an election. And until that happens, he's unfortunately still there.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing.
Nobody wants him. Nobody wants him there.
It's the same thing as our election cycle.
The only ones who are congratulating him daily on doing a fantastic job are the immigrants. Nobody else, no born Canadian, everybody thinks he's an idiot. Like he doesn't. He's stupid. He doesn't know anything.
There's that
about
anti-immigrant sentiment again.
It's
not just American, motherfuckers.
No. I see it constantly. I see it. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm actually seeing it constantly.
Oh, yeah,
I'll go on.
I'm trying to lighten the mood here, man.
I'll go on Trudeau's feed on Facebook, and 90% of the comments are angry Canadians, and then you get like the 5%, 10% who are the immigrants, and they're like, "Oh, you are amazing, you are the best," and it's like.
I'm sorry,
okay.
Was that some sort of like weird Middle Eastern Scotsman?
I was trying to avoid doing an actual impression, sir.
You could have just used a really stereotypical Canadian accent, probably would have.
Okay.
When in doubt, just remember a boot.
A boot.
Okay, on an aside, one of these dogs' butt needs a priest. Holy moly.
And here I thought you just did more coke.
Random.
One of the dogs farted so bad that it needs a priest.
No, it was I was telling someone earlier, and maybe I'm giving myself too much credit. I don't know. You guys throw tomatoes at me if you don't see it. But like, I like to consider myself the comedian of this little group that we have. Because I'm constantly trying to make fun of things. I'm trying to make things lighter. And it's, partially because I do use humor as a deflection, but also because, like I was telling them, the way I see it, if you can make fun of it, if you can find a positive or find something funny about it, you can tackle it. So, like, that's why I usually don't go into politics. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is that if we keep piling this up, we're just building the wall, and we're just making it look like, oh, hey, we're fucked. There's nothing we can do, and all we can do is just lay down, wait for the end times, and die. Well, that's bullshit. So let's have some laughs, take a drink, pull up our big boy pants or big girl pants, whatever we identify as, and go kick some ass. Jesus Christ. I mean, come on, Jesus was a funny motherfucker. There were moneylenders in a temple, and he was like, you know what? I'm not just going to fuck them up. I'm going to go home. I'm going to take the time to hand braid a whip. And then I'm going to come back into the temple, and I'm going to throw their shit all over the place and whip the shit out of them. Do you have any idea how long it takes to hand braid a whip?
No.
Depends how long it is. And is
like,
it
that's the hilarious thing, is the way people see it is Jesus went home, grabbed a whip, and then came back to the temple. No. It specifically says he made a flail. That took days.
He bought it from Kmart. What are you talking about?
No, he was a carpenter. He doesn't buy shit. He wants quality. He's like, if I'm going to do this shit,
No.
we gotta make sure.
See, he's a carpenter, so he works with wood, not leather.
But that's what I'm saying, is that it says he made a flail. So if a carpenter is pissed off enough to make themselves a flail, you know he did it by hand, because he wants to make sure that shit is done right.
So
He
if it's
takes
a
pride in
flail,
his
then
work.
that wouldn't take too much time. Now, if it was an actual bullwhip, then yeah, that's going to take some time. But a flail
Actually,
is
I think the actual wording is a scourge. So there's no actual like indication of length, just that it's hand braided and it has many tails. But of course, if it was a scourge, that's even worse because that has hooks. That means he's getting into metallurgy.
Yeah.
I need to take a real quick break, so I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Remember,
Well,
again, I was raised Southern Baptist, but I don't currently practice, but I find the funny side of everything.
well, that's awesome. That's really awesome. But if Jesus was a carpenter, and this goes to the Holy Grail, the cup, and people are like, well, don't go for the really golden, really flashy, shiny cup because that's not what Jesus did, and he made his own cup. His
Why are your
tigers?
fingers getting numb?
Oh, his fingers. I saw F-I. Okay. I'm like, tigers? He's trying to type. He's trying to type so fast. Gaslight, is that what you're doing? Trying to keep up with typing?
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
either you're typing too fast or you're not standing close enough to LA. Again, I'm not being mean. I'm not saying, hey, LA wildfire's funny. I'm just, find the humor and shit, man.
Yeah, that's, I understand that. Yeah, you have to, it's called gallows humor. You have to, to understand something, you have to make light of it.
Well, I mean, it's not just gallows humor. I have like black humor too, but I mean, come on. I was in the hospital after surgery and I was playing Jeopardy with my morphine drip.
Expound on that, please.
Which part?
Yes.
Playing with your morphine. What
Okay,
gamer?
gamers, which part are you
Black
The
humor
same.
matters. Black humor matters.
What'd you say, gamers?
The same thing? Playing
Oh,
Jeopardy
okay.
with your...
So I've had 4 spinal surgeries for scoliosis. And for each one, they gave me a morphine drip, but the morphine drip has a button so that if the pain gets too bad, you can immediately administer morphine. Has a 10-minute lockout for every press. And it's a story, and I remember it because this was one of the times I was lucid. It's a story where it was the 3rd or 4th surgery. Had to be the 4th because I was just done with shit. I was just so done with everybody. And unfortunately, around that time, I was in high school, so they brought in all my high school friends and everything, and they didn't always get along, and they most especially did not always get along with my brother, because my brother talks a lot, doesn't always research what he's saying, and he's very loud. So I was sitting there, and I'm like half asleep, drugged up, and remember, we found out that opioids don't work on me. I have a high resistance, so I'm on the last legal drug they can give me before going to pure opium. So I'm already tripping balls. I'm hallucinating. Only time in my life I've ever hallucinated from drugs. But I'm sitting there and people are arguing, and they're just arguing and arguing and arguing and screaming at each other. And then out of nowhere, when they went to take a breath, you just saw my hand shakily raise up, and I hit the button, which makes a loud beep to let everyone know that I've hit the morphine. I just went, next topic. And then they started arguing again 10 minutes later, so I hit it again, and I was like, I'll take a new topic for 500.
Doesn't that make the nurses come running to find out why you're hitting that so much?
Oh no, they already knew. See, the hilarious part was for when I started the surgeries, I was 12, but they had to wait till I was 13 because they wanted to put me on the teen ward. I ended up in the adolescent ward anyways. So even on the last surgery when I was 20, I was still on the adolescent ward, which means every nurse there was an intern. They had no idea what they were doing. So they heard the morphine drip and they're like, "Oh, the pain must be bad." I was like, "Nah, I don't actually give a shit. It's not doing anything."
Wow. Okay.
I also have a habit of ripping out IVs because I don't need them. That's my
I did
exact
that for
reasoning. I'm just like,
blood
I don't need
everywhere.
this anymore. I don't need this.
Yeah, I did that. There was blood everywhere, and the nurses freaked out. Why did you do that? And I'm like, I'm ripping them out. Fuck you
Didn't
guys.
have to worry about that. So trigger warning for those of you who are squeamish. Floor
Cooper.
surgery was the one that I finally, because the head nurse was always the same. She was the one in charge of the floor. So she and I were on first name terms at that point. So the floor surgery, they also gave me a spinal tap in order to keep the fluids from building up too much. And one day, an intern came in. And again, I'm 3/4 of the way asleep. I am in Twilight. I'm in La La Land. I'm enjoying things. And I hear her fiddling around. And I can feel the pressure of the spinal drain, like, adjusting in my meat, for lack of a better term. I'm like, oh, okay, they're just, they're draining it. The bulb must be full. The next thing I know, I hear, "Why won't this?" And a pop followed by the most horror movie blood-curdling scream you have ever heard. I open my eyes. She's standing there, head to toe crimson. There is blood all the way across the room. And I just sat there and went, "You forgot to turn the vacuum off before you opened it, didn't you?"
Oh, God.
And I was like, I don't know what's worse. The fact that, like, I took this in stride, or that I woke up, see a woman covered in blood, and my first reaction is, "Fucking idiot." Then again, I got used to waking up in pools of my own blood. Spinal surgery it fucks you up, guys. And yes, gamers, I remember you also commented on my backtracking part 1. I'm trying to make part 2. The problem is a lot of what's covered in part 2 was already in part 1.
So you just need more. You just need more material.
Well, dude, because when it started out, I wanted it to be informative. I wanted it to be like, hey, this is what you're looking at. It's not going to be as scary. It's going to be scary as shit. It's going to hurt like hell. Your life is going to change, but, there are other people who have done it. We're here. We can support you. Don't give up hope. But then it turned into, like, a personal thing. Like, hey, this was my experience. So I'm trying to find that balance between, hey, this is what happened to me, and, hey, this is what to expect. So, it's hard to do that, especially when, like I said, a lot of the stuff is just, like, retreading it over and over again.
I love the fact that you didn't even stop to think about what it would entail to get more material.
I've had 4 spinal surgeries year before last, 2023. They told me I might need a 5th. And then I was informed, hey, we don't want to do it until you are in, and I quote, "crippling, debilitating pain, because this is going to be a lifelong thing. You're always going to need surgery after surgery after surgery, and every surgery is going to fuck you up more."
That's usually the opposite of what surgery is supposed to do, isn't it?
Well, the problem is that the 2 sets of rods that I originally got put in were both defective. One snapped, and then the other one bent too bad. So they replaced those. And then they took them out thinking, hey, you've stopped growing. Don't worry, your spine will be fine. My spine had other ideas. So they've put in a 4th set, which was supposed to grow with me, and grow with me it did. Unfortunately, the fusions never set, and now, because I was a dumbass. Everyone look in your cameras right now, and if you're at home, just look in my eyes, and all of you just imagine hitting me as hard as you can, because my dumbass, knowing that I am now basically a cripple, knowing that I need to take it easy and not lift too much, decided the best physical therapy I could ever have was to take up powerlifting.
What?
Oh.
What?
Specifically, I was doing squats, and barbell rows and
Who told you to
deadlifts.
do that?
I did.
Uh,
So
Honey,
where have my
honey.
rods snapped this time? My lower spine.
oh. Okay, I used to be an exercise physiologist, and that it hurts me a lot when you start doing that. Holy crap.
Yeah, not.
In the immortal words of Forrest Gump, I am not a smart man.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, so when you say get more material, I got a lifetime of it, buddy. In fact, one of the things I was going to do in backtracking, I have my x-rays, I have my CT scans, I have all the original hardware that was in me.
well, fun.
And one of the funniest things that was ever said to me was when I was getting these x-rays and MRIs to see if I needed the 5th surgery. It was basically prep, but it was also to see if they wanted to do it. I got the x-rays, and the tech comes up to me, and he has the most shocked look on his face. Man is white as a sheet, which is impressive because he was very Middle Eastern. White as a sheet. And he looks at me and he goes, "Have you ever been shot?" And I paused because it was such a weird thing to say. I actually had to stop and think. It was like, not that I ever recall. Why? He goes, because you have bullets in your spine. And I was like, pretty sure I'd remember if I'd ever been shot in the spine. What are you talking about? So he pulls up the x-ray and he circles a bit. He's like, right here, you have shrapnel. I was like, that's not a bullet. That's a screw. It stripped off and snapped when they were pulling out the last bit. It's just embedded in my bone forever. He's like, oh, we all thought like you had gotten shot or something. I was like, what the fuck?
Shot.
Thank you for
caught
thinking
in-
that I have such a great life, but no.
Shot, got caught in a explosion, something. Jeez.
And then we had the MRI. And the first thing they always told me that because the titanium is what they told me I had. And like, well, titanium isn't magnetic, but you'll never be able to go into an MRI again because that is powerful enough to magnetize the titanium. So when I got scheduled for an MRI, I told them that. I was like, I was told that I should never have another MRI because it would magnetize the titanium. So like, wait, you mean you didn't get surgical steel? I was like, I was always told titanium. So they had to stop for 30 minutes and look up what was in my spine.
Oh god. Did you ever get did they agree with the original assessment that no MRI?
No, I went through the MRI. I also have a bunch of fun stories from the first surgery, like when I had the boron tracer for the CT scan. I had to drink it. And then they told me, hey, you know, just to let you know, a lot of patients who do this tracer, they report a tingling or an itching sensation, like an itch they can't scratch. I was like, oh, okay, you know, that's fine, I'll deal with it. Well, then I had to wait an hour for the tracer to penetrate the marrow. So I was sitting there waiting, and then all of a sudden, like, I had started twitching. And my dad was with me. He's like, what's wrong? I was like, so you remember that itch that they said they couldn't scratch? He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, my bones itch. I was like, the fuck do you mean your bones itch? It was like, the marrow inside my bones itches, and I want to dig one out so that I can scratch it.
Oh.
That's when you start slamming your arm against the wall or against the side of your bed. Get that vibration going.
Oh, you want the fun part? The first surgeon we ever went to, the first surgeon to tell me I needed surgery, was a man named Sharps, which is fucking hilarious to me. He's a surgeon named Sharps. This is like my psychology professors who were named Cope and Shockey. Cope was one of the school co-counselors. Shockey got his start in child electroshock therapy. I have a fucking life of people with very convenient names. But this man looked at me, a 12-year-old boy, and said, so we're going to need to do spinal surgery, and the way I want to do it is I want to go through the front. Me at 12 went, the fuck you mean you want to go through the front? He goes, well, what I want to do is I want to crack open your chest plate and reset your spine from the sternum. I was like, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not challenging your authority as a man with a PhD or with an MD or a PhD, but it seems to me it would be easier to go through the back. No,
Yeah.
That's how they.
of course that's what's going on in my head. Physically, I'm a 12-year-old boy crying my ass off, curled up in my dad's chest in the fetal position because I'm scared shitless.
And yeah, that's fair.
So then I told the second surgeon. He looks at me and was like, that man's a fucking quack. Who is this?
Who was it that told you this? Because, yeah.
The second surgeon who put in the defective rods. And then when I was like, hey, I should probably sue for malpractice, found out, hey, there's many people suing him for malpractice. In fact, we almost have enough for a class action lawsuit. He fucked off to Chicago.
You want me not to go to Chicago for any meds or surgery or anything.
I don't go to Chicago for anything. It's just not worth it.
All right, gentlemen, it's 10:30 for me. I gotta go to work.
It is
Yeah.
1:23 for me, so yeah, I think it's time to wrap this up.
I was gonna say, yeah, we've been going for over 3 hours now, so yeah, I think we can. I think we can call it.
I'm glad we left it on a light note for you guys.
Yeah.
The other thing I like too is that we all got to debate, and it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys hate me now?
No.
That's what I love about doing this is we can have those active discussions that sound like arguments, but they're not arguments. They are debate. We're not angry at each other.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the reason I've hung out with Olav as long as I have. Like, since we've met, he and I will argue with each other for hours and hours and hours, and then we just realize we're not arguing.
Yes,
We're both just how do we want to
Sharing
put
an opinion.
this? Very passionate
Yeah.
in our
Yeah.
in our debating.
Yeah, that exactly. That was. I mean, that's the way it's always been ever since we started this. Was we get passionate about things and we express that passion.
Yeah.
We're not angry. We don't hate each other. No, if we did, we wouldn't be doing this.
And we
Right.
also, he and I have the understanding that we argue and we debate, and we may not always see eye to eye, but when it comes down to it, he and I are always with each other's backs.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's get the goodbyes and outros done with. I would like to elect gamers to start because we don't have Rask tonight.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to this 3-hour Trump fest. Yeah, it was interesting for sure.
This 3-hour orangey of love.
Yeah. But yeah, check out my YouTube channel at The Gamer's Grotto if you're interested in any live streaming, live video game play, and all that fun stuff. I'll be live streaming within the next couple of days, and yeah, that's about it. Have a wonderful night, and thanks for tuning in.
Right.
What's going?
Was that your whole good night?
Me?
Yeah.
Nope. Did you hear about the dog magician? He was a labra abracadoodle.
Oh.
The Abracador?
Labra abracadoodle. And I'm up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tip the bartender.
Oh. Boy. All right, Caden, you're up.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's always been a pleasure to have you. It was fun discussing all of this with everyone here. It was really nice to have gamers around again for once.
I was here last week. What are you freaking on? Were you
It's
not
another
here
one of those-
last week?
It's another one of those running gags that you've missed in the 4 months that you've been out.
He's
Well,
been
I'm sorry
besides,
that I.
yeah, he's missed picking on you.
Yeah, I switch targets. When you're here, I pick on the Canadian. When you're not here, I pick on the vegan. So don't feel called out.
Oh, I don't.
Ras gets just as much shit from me as you do.
It's true.
But yeah, for those of you who are interested, you can go ahead and check out my channel at Den of the Bullfox. We also have Howling into the Void whenever the fuck we feel that we have things to howl about. I promise you it probably won't be as politically charged as this because we try to keep it somewhat sane, even though I personally don't have any issues saying anything. Also, check me out on social media. I now have an Instagram and a Blue Sky, both at Den of the Bullfox or Bullfox's Den. You can try and follow me at Caden Silvertongue. No guarantees I'll ever post anything there because I lurk like a bitch. And past that, yeah, it was fun. Come see us again. Come hang out with us. And I'm going to shut up and give it to Olaf.
All right. Well, as always, guys, thanks for being here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my outro now.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right, have a good night, everybody.
All right. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you like the video or live stream, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to press the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date of when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to ring the bell, but also check out the social media links down below. There's the Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Tumblr account, the Blue Sky account, and the permanent invite for our Discord server. And since he's not here to promote it, don't forget to also check out Over the Edge Saturdays at 10 p.m. Central Time at new.wef.org/listen. That is where Rasclin does his thing on the radio. All the social media stuff in order to keep up to date of when we go live and stuff like that. For example, tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm going to be live streaming Hogwarts Legacy, and then tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Time is Cyberpunk 2077, and of course next week at 9:15 Central Time is going to be another episode of Pirates of the Geek Vortex. All that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollam Productions. Cheerio!